Hey, I'm ready.
Want to make sure we live on these platforms. Y'all can hear me good?
Yep.
Good, you good, bro. You good.
We live on the platform.
I can't see anyone.
I know. I got this thing on there. Don't worry about it.
All our viewers can see is our Lapeef Let's Talk. The
Hey, I'm ready.
All right.
greatest podcast ever.
Hey, come
The
on,
greatest. The greatest.
The greatest.
Get it twisted.
Where your sound effects? I want my echo when I say greatest.
Greatest. The greatest.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying? Son, the greatest. Shot fire, baby.
Hey, you can tell when people get like new shit, right? Hey, black folks always want to stunt when they get something new, right? You making it
I
definitely
don't
be
care.
known. You got some new shit.
I don't care.
You don't care. Do you even care if we got something new or what? Are you okay?
I don't. I
You
really
don't
don't. I'm just waiting for the show to be over so I can go chill and watch the game and shit. I was sure trying to hit up the cigar lounge tonight, man. We close at 11.
We about to start stepping. You hear that stepping music?
Niggas got theme music. Oh, shit. Hey, JR, this is what you do when you got guests?
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
Hey,
Welcome to Lapeef Let's Talk.
Oh, okay.
You messed my introduction up, man. Come on now. Come on, man.
Oh, you got to do a do-over?
Yeah. You messed an intro up, man. Let's try this again from the top, y'all.
Myself.
Yeah, mute yourself, please. Welcome to Lapeef Let's Talk. Let me introduce the crew. We got Tawana.
Hey, y'all.
Anton. B-Nix. And we got our guests, which is Ashley and Andrea. Me and myself, I'm JR. Welcome to Lapeef Let's Talk. How y'all doing out there? How y'all feeling? Y'all good?
Feeling good today.
Everybody good?
Hey, that intro was decent. I wasn't expecting
Yeah,
that
you
shit,
know,
but
it surprised
I'm
us.
still processing the intro.
I gotta mention that. The greatest show ever.
The greatest show ever.
That I just, that's something to call attention to.
All right, you guys, we're going to dive right into our first topic, which is how important are the 5 love languages in a relationship? How important are the 5 love languages in a relationships? As you guys know, there are 5 different love languages. Words of affirmation, quality time, acts of services, gifts, and physical touch. I have to be honest, I really never paid attention to this until about 2 or 3 years ago when somebody mentioned it to me and they asked me if I took the quiz. So I want to get you guys' thoughts on it. I'm going to start with you, Nix. Do you think the 5 love languages are important in a relationship?
I would say yes, it is, but I think that all of these aspects are not necessarily like evenly distributed. You know what I mean? I think that it all depends on the relationship. I think it is good to have, but I know that that's not something I'm necessarily leading with. I admit that I don't think that in my current relationship I've ever like tried to align what I do to the love languages, but after kind of understanding more about it, I think that is something that we all should aspire to do. But if we're talking about receiving gifts, I think gifts are cool. I think gifts are, it's a showing of your appreciation. But I think that, is there a certain number or amount or a certain percentage? Because that's the part where I think it varies by relationship. But overall, I do think it does have this level of significance to support a successful relationship.
Tawana, do you feel as though the 5 love languages are important in relationships?
Yeah, I agree with a lot of what B Nick said. I read the book I didn't take this quiz, so I'm very curious because I felt the same way that I didn't fit in one particular category perfectly. That they always said you have a dominant one, and then there's a secondary. But I did not find a dominant one that I perfectly fit into. I had several sub categories that I felt like were relevant to like the way I receive love. But I honestly used to be so selfish in relationships where I only cared about how I felt, to be honest. And I never thought about how my man received love and how he needed it until like JR, I did research maybe like 5 years ago, like a few years ago. And then I read this book and I was like, oh, that's interesting. Like I probably should be paying attention to how how they want to receive love, because I think the whole purpose is you could be giving gifts, or you can be doing acts of service, or you can be doing all these amazing things, and your partner never recognizes it because they don't receive love in that way. And so for you to pay attention to your partner and how they actually receive love and what they think, right? Because people used to give me gifts, but I don't care about gifts, right? So I would get all these gifts and they'd be like, you don't care I give you all this stuff. I'm like, you wasting your money, because if you mess up, I'm still hate you, right? But like that's what they thought was gonna help me get over it, right? But then I realized that I like acts of service more than I like that. So if you take my car to get the tire fixed, that means more to me than like you going to buy me some jewelry that I don't really wear, because I'm not really a jewelry type person, you know. So, I wear it, but whatever. So I do think that it's important to know how your partner receives love, because like most men like, affirmation or physical touch. And I was not very good at doing that until I read that book and I realized how important it is to a lot of people. And it does really change the dynamic of your relationship when you constantly reinforcing those words of affirmation to your man, and what you can really do it. So I'm a huge believer in that. I read the book. I mean, I didn't totally 100% agree with everything he said, but I did think that it helped me to transition my thoughts to just what I needed in relationships to, also help, and it was helpful in that way. Yep.
Anton, how important are the 5 languages in a relationship? 5 love languages in a relationship.
I was gonna say I hate to be the bad guy, but I really don't mind. It's kind of enjoyable being the bad guy, because I don't know one guy that bought that. I don't know one guy that bought that book. Number one. Number two, it kind of remind me of like it's like, how girls get their nails done. Like I don't know any guys that's like not talking to a specific girl because she doesn't have her nails done. Like they do that for other women. You know what I'm saying? It's a conversation for other women to have amongst each other, and an easy way to market to them, an opportunity to sell them a book. So me personally, I don't care for it. I don't subscribe to it. If it entertains you and it makes you feel good, you know what I'm saying, about yourself. Again, like another example, it kind of reminds me of like horoscopes. Like I'm not really into it. And when somebody be like, hey, Anton, what's your sign? It's like, okay, what relevance does that have to me? Like I'm still gonna be exactly who I am, and it has no bearing on how I'm gonna interact with you. Like I'm not gonna take your sign into consideration before I ever, you know what I'm saying, interact with you in any way, shape, or form. So nah, it has no bearing whatsoever. I think more importantly, it's more important to have, if you're gonna be in a relationship with somebody, I think it's more important to take into consideration whether or not you connect with them as a best friend or not, and not necessarily all of these other particulars that play a role or not play a role. You can learn whoever it is that you're talking about, but it doesn't necessarily align with a specific thing that an author put together for you in order to be able to navigate through your relationship. So, I don't subscribe to it at all. It means absolutely nothing to me. Zero.
All right, Miss Fuzzy Lynn, how important are the 5 love languages in a relationship?
It's crazy because how I learned about the 5 love languages was I was dating a guy, I don't know, about 5-6 years ago, and he gave me the book. And I'm like, oh, a man gave me the book of the five love languages actually that I passed down to my son. You know, because the book is not thick; it's pretty small book. So I read it. I took the test online, and I did realize my love language. And then guys that I would date after, I would ask them to take the test. Most wouldn't, but it's always entertaining. I would also ask men to take the 16 personality test. My son introduced me to that. But
What?
yeah, I don't know if you guys ever heard of that. I think it's 16personalities.com. Yeah, so whether you're an introvert, you extrovert, whether you're an ENTJ, ENTP, or INTJ, or but we'll get into that later. But I learned that I remember dating a guy, and his love language was quality time. That is like definitely not my love language. He wanted me to be with him every second of the day. I belong to the streets. I can't be with you every second of the day, but I will give you words of affirmation, acts of service. I cook, I clean, I'm a pump you up. I'm the finesse queen, so I'm always like you, a king. But that don't mean I want to spend every day, all day with you. So you really have to understand what people are looking for in relationships. So I do think it's important because we might not be looking for the same thing, and some people are just not willing to compromise.
Okay. Ashley, how important are the five love languages in relationships?
I think they're important. I can't say how important, but I do think they're important. I think that we all have a certain way that we show love, and a lot of times we assume that people feel love by how we feel love. So, and that's not always the case. So I think it's important to know how your partner feels love and what they need from you. Now, you don't have to call it love languages, and I don't think that there are like very distinct like love languages, so to speak. I think there's some overlap, and but regardless of what you call it, I do think it's important to know like how the person you're with feels loved, so that you can make sure that you're expressing love in that way. And I think it's important to know like what your love language is too. If you think about it, you can kind of think about like what is it that people do or don't do that makes you feel the most loved or the most appreciated. So, and then once you can kind of maybe even communicate that to your partner. So I think they're important.
Well, I think Ashley, you bring up a good point where all this kind of varies by person. I think we all got our preferences in relationship, whereas maybe like, because for me, I know like a sticking point of what I dislike or what I don't care about, like the physical touch thing, like I could socialize with like PDA and stuff like that. I'm not a hand holding type, I'm not a cuddle type, and nor is she. So the thing is, it's like
my hand when I'm walking with heels and
I think that some things are. Yeah, I think some things are like categorized kind of lower on the list. Some things are prioritized higher. So that's the part where I was saying earlier where I think it's not necessarily even across the board. I think there is an aspect of touch, but some people I'm not a hugger. I'm not. So it's not a thing for me. And the person that I chose to be with is not a thing for her either. So again, I think it gives a good, it gives you a framework to follow, but I don't necessarily kind of state that that's what I'm leading with on this is what I'm doing according to this book, according to these certain aspects. It's just, we do things that we enjoy doing. If it falls under acts of service, so be it. A lot of times it's not even about us, but the fact that we enjoy the fact that we're pleasing our person, so not to say it's a chore, but I think we all find fulfillment. But it does, if you think about all that we do, it kind of indirectly falls into these five categories, whether we call it the love languages or not. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And next, what's kind of odd is that I understand what you're saying, but I mean some people are really who they are. So if you discover this later within the relationship or the marriage, then I think that you would have a better understanding of that person. And if you're not that person, like if you're not giving that person what they need, then do you think in the long run that it's not going to work? Based off the 5 love languages.
Well, it might not, but I think part of the love languages that's not listed is the communication, which kind of comes up in time and time again, where as relationships evolve and that there is something that she prefers or something that I prefer, I think that you need to communicate that, because something, we all evolve, we all change from the beginning of a relationship versus where we're at right now. It's not always a change is not bad. I think sometimes we associate it like you're not the same. There's nothing wrong with that. But if you're not communicating out that this is something that you would kind of prefer more of, like, I know for me, the aspect of quality time is a little bit more vital now because I got children, because the thing is, I took quality time for granted. But now with the fact that we're divvying out our time to family, work, children, it's like, well, yeah, I do want to create some times where it's just me and her. So I think you have to be aware. You have to be tapped in. A lot of people are really in relationships and they're just kind of on autopilot. You have to really be engaged with the ebbs and flows of a relationship. And if you're not, it does lead to possible, separation and things that the partner may not like. But essentially, communication is still key.
Yeah, I think over time people will be dissatisfied. Like I have a couple friends who feel like they don't get what they need, from a relationship, and it's not that the person doesn't love them. It's just that they have to learn each other so that they're kind of meeting each other halfway. So I don't think that you have to call it a love language. You can call it whatever you want to call it, but everybody, appreciates something different, and you can't necessarily assume that because you're doing X, Y, Z, that this person is, having their emotional needs met. Maybe that's what you like, but it's not necessarily what they really need.
But Tawana, I'm not really into gifts. Of course, we all dress up and we appear to be half fashion, but I'm a minimalist. I do not need your jewelry. I don't need your gifts. I don't need any of that. But I would love for you to take my car and fill it up and get an oil change, please. It's cold outside. Help me out. I've been an entrepreneur for a long time, so words of affirmation is great. It really is really encouraging, but I don't need, I like flowers and candles, but those are really inexpensive. You don't have to go and, I don't want to wear a Gucci belt that these holes wear with every outfit. I don't need that. Thank you, but I'm good on it. Sorry.
Very similar. I like flowers and stuff too, but I don't too much care for the other stuff. But I do think that I learned about that book in a church, and actually I was at a marriage seminar. I'm not married. I wasn't married at the time. I just attended the seminar to learn about marriage, right? So I'm studying it because I'm like, I want to get married again. I want to be successful the next time, right? And they were like, they told all of us, who attended to read this book. And so there were many men, Anton, that read the book. It was a lot of couples who read the book, and it was a discussion about it. And so that's when I first started to learn. And I think we naturally
it was a lot of men at a marriage seminar trying to figure out how they can be effective in marriage.
The marriage seminar was to help people to stay committed to their marriage, to reinforce marriage, to reintroduce what the purpose of marriage is. It was at a church, so it was centered on helping people, it was a lot of married couples that attend. It's an annual thing that people do every year. So it's like some sort of help them, I don't know, marriage seminar, but it was really good.
Place, he is terrible. You are terrible, Anton.
I'm just wondering. I'm just wondering what type of men these are. So context matters.
They probably wouldn't have chosen.
To each his own. I mean, hey, if folks want to go to a seminar, so be it. Yeah. I don't care.
It was
I don't.
connected to our church. It was connected to our church, and men who attend church heavily will participate with their wives, and people who believe in marriage. People there, it was there people there that was married 50 years. It was people there who was married 10 years. People there married 10 months. So it was a variety of people, and you just got to hear different perspectives on marriage. And they went in the Bible and talked about the, where it derived from. So it was helpful. But anyway, we read the book and we discussed the book. And so a lot of couples were like, we naturally do this, right? We naturally learn what our partners like and things like that. But it's good to go into it being aware that that is something that you should be conscious of, right? Knowing what your partner likes and what they want and how they receive love. And, you want to convey that the best way, because it's always these conflicts, because you may think the person don't feel this way or that way, right? You take something wrong. So,
I got a question.
It helps.
I got a question.
That
Andrea,
is so
this
weird
goes
to
back
me.
to your comment.
That is so weird.
Go ahead, Anton. You was about to say something.
What's
No,
weird?
because because like people are approaching relationships and marriage and things like that as though it's so much work. It's not that difficult. It's very easy, very smooth. It's not confrontational. It don't have
It's not,
to be
man.
It doesn't have to be this complicated thing in which we need all of these different assets and a blueprint in order to be successful at it. We make it more complicated than it has to be by aligning ourselves.
I think that's your version, which is fine.
All of these different. No, that's the right thing. And we align ourselves.
Here you go. You started early today, bro. The thing is,
I'm just saying,
opinion,
it's not an opinion.
Relationships
are definitely
work. It's real life.
You have to invest.
Why do it have to be work? That makes no sense, bro. I mean, why do you got to put in work for a relationship?
Work, but effort. I'll say effort then.
It takes effort.
You're doing life is effort. That's not work.
But people think effort as work. Because when it's effortless, you don't have to work. So if it's a little effort, it seems like you have to do a little work to make it. That's what people
Anton, you're describing it like it's effortless. Like we just show up and everything just falls in place.
Like
doesn't work like that.
Go.
That's pretty much how it rolls. That's pretty much how relationships are. It's pretty much like that.
I
it's light. I guess it just depends on what type of guy you are, because when you're the man you're supposed to be, it make it easier for her to follow you. So I guess it's a little different. It's levels to it.
It has nothing to do with the man you're supposed to be.
Don't. It ain't got nothing to do with the roles in a relationship.
You always really trying to insert this angle. Really I don't even know how this one fits. I don't care. I don't even know what type of man you're supposed to be. I don't even know how it's applicable to what we're talking about.
Because listen, I
don't know how it is.
I don't need to read a book to understand that. I don't need to read a book to understand that it's important for us to be best friends, which obviously fosters understanding as to who each other is. Like if people, and the problem is people go into a relationship or go into situations trying to date instead of trying to understand people. You don't need to read a book in order to become friends with people to be able to easily select who it is that you're more closely aligned with. I don't need to this specific love language.
You don't need to read a book, but some people do.
When I learned about, go ahead. I'm sorry.
Anton, how long you been married?
16 years.
16 years. And I know, I'm just going to say this. We just met. I like you already. Because me and you, we probably got the same views on a lot of stuff. But I know you get on your wife's nerves.
Nah, she absolutely adore me, and it's
I know
so
she do, because we all do. But
just so easy.
I know you get
light work. Nah, listen.
I do think some people make relationships more difficult. And I remember when I read I didn't read the book, but when I heard about it, I was like, oh, another ploy to get money, to get people to buy something. But the truth of the matter is, like, it really depends on the person. Like if you're a person that just didn't see healthy relationships, or you didn't see, people who interacted well with each other, some things may not be like innate or natural. So, I think people make relationships more difficult than they have to be, but some people do need a little bit of guidance. And some people won't even think about certain things unless somebody presents it to them. So
Yeah, I feel the same way. It's like my sister has been married. Her husband been married. Uh, I think 20 years. No, 18 years because they got married at 18 and then 36, they'll be 37 this year. Of course, ups and downs, but they were probably just meant to be together. My son is about to be 22. I was with his dad for like 14 years. He took out my good years. He did good years, but it's okay. We still really good friends and co-parent. But we still click. It's so many people that in relationships they just don't click because people make shit too hard. It's not that hard. We only get this one life to live. Whether we read the book on relationships or five love languages, or we just try not to give our partners a hard time. I just don't think it's really that hard.
Saying it's not that hard is really not really helping people who don't have the tools to be in a successful relationship. Because
I'll say that too. We gotta work on it. We gotta work. We gotta read the book. So
or maybe
I'm
they
with
should
you,
just
Tawana.
not be with that specific person. Like if it's that
I gotta
difficult
read.
where you gotta figure that out, maybe you just need to pick a different person.
It's not about it being that difficult. It's about your level, how you define and what you believe is difficult. So to you, it may be communication may be a problem for some people because they've never had to communicate with somebody. For you, it could be an easy, natural thing, but it could be terrible. Like if somebody want to communicate with you, it could be like the last thing on earth you want to do. And then also, it could be so many other things that could be, that could deter you. So you can't just say, oh, because I know how to do everything. And I'm this naturally great at marriage. But everybody in the world should be just naturally great. And everybody in the world should see marriage the same way because everybody's experience is totally different. I don't know.
What I'm saying is that
like that.
People are focusing their energies on the wrong thing is my point. The focus should be on the foundation of the relationship, not all of these nuances that play a role in how we feel. So I don't know.
I don't think you should put like too much emphasis on, I guess, any particular thing or like love languages. I mean, obviously, you have to build a connection. Communication is important. Building a bond, a foundation, making sure you guys want the same things out of life. Obviously, those things are what are most important among some other things. But it's just another thing to be aware of, because you could be doing something, every day. Like, you could be a husband, and every day you, I don't know, you make the bed or something. I don't know. You do something every day because you think your wife, is expecting this or really needs this from you when all along she needed you to just say thank you or to say, not that you shouldn't appreciate any and everything that somebody does for you, but it's like, sometimes we need certain things from people. It could be support. Like, for a man, like men like to feel supported in their relationship. So it's like that to me that's how you love somebody. You show them.
Sound like a beta man.
What you say?
So
you don't think alpha men want to be supported by their wives?
I'm gonna do what I'm gonna do regardless. Like
yeah,
I don't need validation to make me feel all warm and fuzzy inside. Like, come on.
But you still need your wife to support you.
That's probably why they had a side chicks. The alpha male, the wife ain't doing what they need her to do. That's all. That's all.
You still need to be supportive of you though. Like even if it's like space to work or encouraging you. Like everybody needs that. I don't care how confident you are. Like you're gonna need people in your circle.
You sure about that, Ash? Listen, I like you, but you dead wrong. Dead wrong.
So you don't think you need people in your circle to support you, and your wife is probably the closest person to you. So you don't think that her support is important? I'm not saying you won't be successful.
I am I'm dope. You know what I'm saying? I don't need no validation. Like I know that she know I'm dope. She gonna show
So
me. I ain't
support
tripping
equals
off that.
validation. Support equals validation, Anton.
What?
Is that
No.
what you're saying?
What? But what
Because
is
I don't
support?
think that's what
What do
Ashley's
I want her
saying.
to do? Oh man.
So for
What?
instance, let's say you have to travel. Let's say you've been traveling a lot this month. Do you want a wife that's gonna be praying for you and saying, okay, look, let me know when you make it there, or do you want a wife that's gonna be nagging you and fussing at you about why you gotta travel? Like there's
She know
you
I'm
want her to be
good. We not gonna focus our energy on whether or not she did either.
exactly. So she's supporting
I don't worry
you.
about none of that
But
matters.
that's what I'm saying.
What?
She is supporting you. That's a form of
Okay.
support.
I don't. I mean, you know what? If it makes you feel better as a woman, not you specifically, but if it makes her feel better, like she's playing this role of support, then hey, do what you do. I don't know.
Oh
I'm
my
good.
goodness, that's how
But she was
funny.
doing something
What?
different.
I don't know. I
think.
think you
Have
taking this the
y'all ever
wrong way,
talked to a
man.
wall
It's like
before?
Girl, yep,
I don't know. I think you taking it the
all my
wrong way because
life.
I admit earlier, even though I know we're talking about this, I haven't read the book either. But the thing is, I was saying basically, it's like, hey, if you really kind of break down the aspects of what we're talking about, people are kind of doing this already. Like, I didn't read no book to say like, hey, you know what? Hey, I want my girl's car and stuff, right? Or like you mentioned, Andrea, like with the car and stuff. So I take the car to the car wash, right? For one, I want it to look a certain way for her, but that's an act of service. It's just something I want to do. I find fulfillment in doing it. I'm not doing it because the book said I got to do this. But the thing is, that takes
The book
effort.
is not
That takes me being
telling you.
mindful to
The
kind of
books
think
don't
through
tell
shit.
you to do that. You can tell when y'all
The
haven't
book, the book
read.
is for identification purposes. The book is not saying what you should do. The book is for identification purposes. One. Also, I think it's important to understand your five love languages because this doesn't just have anything to do with relationships as your partner. It has to do with relationships with your friends in life, with your parents. It's like I seen a quote. It said, "Some people were raised on love, some people were raised on survival." So I met some guys in my life that were raised on survival, and it showed. I met some guys and dated some guys that were raised on love. So you really have to know how to deal with these people. I was raised on a little bit of both. So this just has nothing to do with our husbands, wives, girlfriends, boyfriends. It has to do with our friends. Some of my friends, they love gifts. Some of my friends, every time I see them, they want to hug. So I'm a big hugger. I'm a hugger not because I'm affectionate. I'm a hugger because I've lost so many people in life, and I have a little OCD. I don't like people to touch my hands, like ever. Like I'd rather hug you, like bring it in. I don't want you to touch my hands. But physical touch. I have to really understand who people are.
I
Too.
think that's what it all boils down to.
Yeah.
It's just understanding who the person is. I understand
Look
that
at Anton's face.
that love language can change throughout the relationship or the marriage.
Can.
So
Yeah, because minds have changed.
yeah, I think that's something that considered too. Of
Yeah.
experience, age. Sometimes you might want your alone time. I know I do sometimes. I don't even feel like being bothered. So
Period.
all right, if you just tuning in, welcome to Lapeef Let's Talk. We'll move into our second topic, which is how men feel about the no sex 90-day rule. How men feel about the no sex 90-day rule.
Can I go first?
Oh yeah, you can go first. Go ahead.
Thank you. Thank you, Lapeef. So, I had a baby young, got pregnant at 19, had a baby at 20.
What?
Yeah. Yeah, my son is about to be 22 in like 2.5 months.
What?
And I love him dearly. And was with his dad, like I told y'all, for a long time. And after that, I am single. I've had a couple of long-term relationships, but I'm single.
What?
I'm not saying I'm gonna do a one night stand and have sex with you on the first date because I'm not. But I'm not waiting 90 days to you. It's a pandemic. I'm not waiting 90 days. I want to see the dick hella soon, like soon. Like, let me see it soon.
What?
Sooner than later. Sooner than later. Because that anti that is the love language. I need to see, are we compatible in this bed? I need to see if your penis is strong. I'm about to be 42. It's a lot of men that in their 40s, their penis are not working. You know, if y'all give me the rules, I can say some things. I'm sorry, I'm not telling you rules.
Nah,
But
it's
I
good.
need to see if it's strong and working. I need to make sure you eat your veggies. Eat your veggies, bitch. You know, I need to make sure you eat your veggies. Your penis is strong. And, you know, that is very, very important. So I'm not going to wait 90 days to have sex. I want to just hurry up and get it over with. Then I'll see if I like you or not. I want to like you a little bit, have sex with you, and then I probably make me like you more. And then we go from there. But I'm not going to wait 90 days. This bitch is crazy. It's a whole pandemic. It's like a whole pandemic. I'm single. I've been in the house with myself for a year, you know, but I ain't crazy. I ain't crazy. I got me a pandemic partner. You know, we not together now, but I had got me a pandemic partner because I wasn't crazy. I was like, I can't just go a whole year and still going with no penis. Crazy. But okay, I'm done.
All right, well. Tawano, coming to you.
So Wanda got a whole baby. She got a pandemic baby on the way with her husband.
It's
But
like,
they been fucking.
kind of like we having after hours right now.
And we did not wait 90 days. That's the damn show.
Tawana,
Yes.
how do men feel about this no sex 90-day rule?
Listen, I naturally think that men are resistant to it. And I think they're resistant to it because for them, they feel like it makes no impact in the decision that they make with you moving forward. If you're someone that they don't want to be with, it doesn't matter if you make them wait 90 days or not, they're not going to want to be with you. After the 90 days, maybe they just going to stay with you until they get what they want and then leave. So I guess for men, I feel like they feel like it's pointless. Like, I'm going to get you at some point. If I got to wait 90 days or if I'm going to get it on the first day, whenever, just hurry up. You know, if I'm going to leave you, I'm going to leave you regardless. What I think that a woman should think about when they're creating these rules for themselves is the boundaries that they have for themselves. Do you want to sleep with a man who you don't know? Or do you want to sleep with, do you want to be conscious about the decisions you make? Because I think that when we're younger, we make some decisions that we like, damn, I wish I would have just waited just a little bit longer. And sometimes, especially me, like if you meet a stranger, like somebody you don't know through somebody else, it's a little harder for me to connect with that person versus people who I know. Like I know them through other people. I know them from school or I know them from my social network, from work, because I've seen them, right? I've been observing or I've been interacting. I've been around them in some way. So I think sometimes you feel more comfortable with those people because you feel like you know them. But I do think that a woman should have expectations and boundaries for herself. Do I think you should go into it with a specific time frame and a date? Like if it's 90 days and you still ain't sure, you should keep going. Like, I don't think you should be like, I'm just going to wait 90 days and see what happens. I know Steve Harvey created this little 90-day rule thing. And I did read his book and I thought it was crazy. So I just feel like there's nothing wrong with a woman who has expectations, boundaries, and who says, you know what, I don't want to do this and I don't feel comfortable doing this.
What?
And a woman who thinks that it's important for her to make a conscious decision, because I wish that somebody would have told my 20-year-old self that, or my 21, 23-year-old self that, instead of waiting until you have to figure that out. So I do think that is very important. And it does make a difference in it is not about who you sleep with or how many men you sleep with. Because if you decide that you want to sleep with, then do it. I'm not saying don't be an Andrea, right? Do what you do, okay? It's the
but wait, let me tell you, Tawana. I talk all this shit. Every man that I've slept with, I've known for years.
Yes, you know.
I do not sleep with the men that I don't know. So one guy recently, 6 months ago, I met him out and he was like, he was like, "Can we go out?" I was like, "We can't go out because I don't know you." He was like, then how can we get to know each other if so?" I'm like, and I knew I never go out with men I do not know. I go out with men that I've known for years. We have hella mutual friends that I've been around, XYZ, like for a long time. You know, like my pandemic partner, I've been knowing him for like years.
Yeah, it's like it's more
that's what we call them now, partners.
It's more of a comfortability.
Yeah.
It's more of a comfortability when you know someone versus a stranger. So we can't say that the 90-day rule.
I can't have sex with a stranger. I'm so scared.
I do think for men that the 90-day rule means nothing to them, because I think that for men, their objective is if they want to hit or they want to get you, they're going to get you. They don't care if you make them wait however long.
But you know what, Tawana, with that being said, does it matter about the 90 days? To me, it's like, I didn't know people still use the 90-day rule, to be honest.
I do think that women I do think that women should make a decision and create an expectation and boundary for themselves. Because if you're a beautiful woman, or if you're a woman who's single and you're out here dating, you can date 10 to 15 men in a year. Are you gonna sleep with every man? No, you have to be conscious. You have to create boundaries.
What's the significance of the 90 days though? Like 90 versus 60 versus 120.
Let me tell you why.
It's an arbitrary number.
Let me tell you why you wait 90 days. Okay, because and you get a 90-day probation even at work. Okay, so 90 days is really just so that you can see what type of how this person is consistent, what this person brings to the table. Like, is this person gonna stay around? Are they gonna change? Are they gonna show their true colors? Like, is it gonna be a decision that
boom, you wait the 90 days and his dick don't work.
But you know what? Regardless of what you said, Andrea, I think all you're doing is it's like a dream deferred. You know what I'm saying? You're basically allowing this whole you're curating this whole environment for 90 days. And then when 90 days is like, okay, now what? If he's choosing just to solely mess with you just because he's trying to hit, okay, I'll play the game with you. That 91st day I hit, okay, I'm on my way. So the thing is, it's one of those that, to me, the 90-day has no value, has no purpose. I get it, but it's a game. It's a game, and as adults, why are we still playing this game with people's feelings, their intention, and the objective? To me, it's wasteful.
Yeah, I just want to say this. I think women need to understand that men don't want to hear that. When a man meets a woman, he already know if he's going to go far with her or not. So if the woman says that I'm not going to have sex within those 90 days, guess what? He's going to be having sex with somebody else 9 times out of 10.
Y'all do it anyway. It don't matter.
It's just I don't see the value to, like, I'm joking about this. I'm being facetious about the 91st day I'm hitting. But at the same time, it's like, hey, if you're not able to kind of understand 90 days, if you really want to get to know someone, you're always going to get to know someone. Like it may be years and you still are finding out new things about certain people. So the thing is like, hey, life is about risk and rolling the dice on certain things. So I get it with the aspect of, like you all mentioned, getting to know people. It goes both ways, but at the same time, it depends on the intent. What is the whole objective? What is the true outcome of both people? Because a lot of times a woman is just trying to hit too. So let's not sit up here and act like this is a one-sided story.
Well, he's the one who asks, how do men feel about? He could ask how women feel. I'll tell you how women feel. I mean, men
don't care about it. It's silly.
They don't. And I'm telling women that just because men don't care about it, don't mean you should go sleeping with every man in America. It just means that men have different priorities than you. You are the woman. You control your own body and boundaries. Don't worry about what a man thinks.
Hey, you mess around and lose somebody playing that 90-day game with somebody.
It ain't got nothing to do with 90 days. It's about your expectation and your boundaries.
Right. And you don't need no damn 90 days for that.
You don't.
Come on, think about it. Think about all of it. We're not in our teens anymore. Like, we are adults. It's like, man, you got to take 3 months to figure out, like, man, I still don't know. If you still trying to figure out the situation after 90 days, I mean, 3 months is really not going to make a difference. The person, they are who they are. And the thing is, if you can't decide decipher if they're selling you a dream,
3 months
That's
can
on
make
them.
a
Makes a
huge
difference.
difference.
Hey, Anton, I want to come to you next.
You can.
I want
makes
you
a
to go ahead and
difference.
chime in on this. Go ahead.
It makes a difference because it's not about whether it's 90 days or not. It's about the idea behind. Okay, let me break it down like this. We slot you. We slot every woman based off of who we think she is and what role we think she can play, whether it's short term or long term. It's the chick that I just want to bust down, and then it's the chick that I'd marry, and then it's the chick that's just cool, and you're not even really paying attention to her. And then she could be very much slotted into the chick that I couldn't marry. So when you understand that we slot you, then you have to take into account the value of who you are and how we value you. So if it's easy for me to bust you down, let's just say 90 days as a basis for how we evaluate whether or not, we slot you. If it's easy for me to bust you down, more than likely, if you a certain type of guy, I'm not really looking for you as a long-term relationship partner, right? But the 90 days is the basis by which we can establish a foundation and that the relationship is based on more than just sex. Because if it's only based on sex, then it's built on something that's not going to last. If it's only based on looks, if it's only based on money, if it's only based on certain criteria, and we talking about a lifetime, somebody that you would marry or whatever, if it's only based on that, then it's something that's not going to last. But if it's just somebody that you're looking to have a relationship with, whether it be short term or it's just a thing or whatever like that, then yeah, it really doesn't matter. But I'm going to just say that it does matter and that bodies matter, presentation matter, how you present yourself matter, how people view you matter, how you play a role in my life. And that's based off of the entirety of who you are. It matters. So the 90 days is just a talking point, but the idea behind you being more virtuous as a result of not being easy to get plays a role in our life.
The question was, do men care about the 90 days? Absolutely. It's a concept that really is not a concept that applies to men.
Yes, we do care.
This is a concept that's for men. I mean, for women. This is not a concept that men live by. This is something that is created.
If a girl,
it's a concept, bro.
If I meet a chick and I can bust her down in the first week, I'm not really even interested. Honestly. Like every guy I know, and we kick it, I got a circle. Every dude I know, they move a certain type of way. Like, listen, it's so easy. Like the price is low right now. It's very, very low. The barriers to entry is easy to jump over. So when you take into account that, okay, now you got to be of a certain type of level for me to be seen with you, for me to rock with you, and take out of the context the actual 90, right? When you take into consideration somebody that I'm looking to rock with, you gonna be my chick. I'm looking to really play a huge role in life. It matters. It matters that everybody can't get to you. Because if I can get you, I don't feel like I'm the greatest person on earth as far as like just from a looks perspective. So that means that everybody else probably can get you easy also. I don't want the easy. I want the thing that makes sense and that I can hunt down that actually plays a valuable role in my life and that I feel like she's worth my time. It matters.
Hey, but Anton, also don't think that there aren't men that also fall in love. If they hit and they had sex with the woman within them first couple of weeks, don't sit up here and act like it's not other men that's like, I love it. And they're going to hold on to it. They want to keep it.
It's called betas. It's
here you go, bro. Like, stop flipping the narrative, bro.
Let me say this.
Hold on,
Andrea.
Hold on, Andrea. Let me get to Ashley real quick because we haven't heard anything from her in a while.
What does beta have to do with this conversation? Like, bro, you blowing me tonight, man. Like, can we just talk regular?
Ashley, get him, Ashley.
Ashley, I want to get your opinion on this. How do you feel about men? How do men feel about no sex 90-day rule? How do they feel?
Well, my perception is that men don't take it seriously. And I understand why they don't, because I think that it all came about because a lot of women felt like, after a few months, men start to kind of change and, they've gotten the goods. And so now, he's kind of like he's not into me as much. He's not serious about me. And then, you have a lot of people who they have had sex so early on. And then what happens is they get connected to this person emotionally, more so for women, and then, they find out that this guy is not really serious about them, or maybe it's somebody that you don't even really want to be with. Like, the relationship isn't really what you thought it was going to be. And so a lot of women feel like, oh, well, if he waits 30 or 90 days, that gives me a chance to get to know him, and then that must mean that he's serious about me. And I think men know that that's not the case. Like, men know, like, they'll stick around for 90 days and still not care about you. Like, they'll stick around for 90 days, have sex with you, and it's like they don't take it seriously. I think partly because a lot of times women, they've already made up in their minds that they're going to sleep with the person, and so it's like they're playing a game. It's like they're trying to be a little manipulative. They think, oh, let me make this guy wait this long, and he'll respect.
Is it the men playing the game, or is it the women playing the game?
The women. I think the women do. Now, that isn't to say I think that you should be sleeping with somebody in 90 days. Like, I can't imagine myself getting with somebody in 90 days. Like,
Ashley, I got a question for you, and not for you particular, but just to generalize this. As a woman, do women actually tell a man that this is I'm doing this 90-day thing, you gotta wait? Or like, do you all actually articulate this? Or is this something just in your mind that only you know, but you know the blueprint? So you have this game plan in your mind that hasn't been shared with the person that you're interested in.
My understanding is that
it don't have to be 90 days. It could be longer than that, but just in general.
Well, I think for me, I don't have like some number in my mind. Like, I don't. But I think for women who've had that 90-day rule, they usually tell the guy that, and then it's like and that's why guys, I don't think, take it seriously, because it's like, okay, you're telling me, oh, I'm gonna make you wait 90 days, and then on the 91st day, then we can have sex.
Let me help you out, Ash. Let me help you out.
A lot of women don't tell.
You've
Let me
already
help you out.
decided that you're gonna go and have sex.
This is part of this game. We're all adults.
Let me help you out, Ash.
A lot of women don't tell you. They don't tell you that they about to have a 90
That's
days.
the key.
But see, that's misleading.
Absolutely
it's
right.
misleading, man.
No.
Because you don't go into
it. You're supposed to. Tawana is absolutely right. You're supposed to have this foundation within yourself that doesn't necessarily tell them, hey, this is the goal line. You're supposed to present yourself a certain type of way that gives him an expectation of what he can expect when he comes in contact with you. So if he comes in contact with you, he's not leading with trying to do whatever it takes in order to get in your pants. You have time to actually get to know a person, because you know that when you're going out with them, the foundation of what it is that you're establishing or your conversations is not based on how can the final product be at the end of the night when we get to bed. And so women need to present themselves differently.
All this shit is stupid.
Because we look at you differently.
I get it.
We look at you differently. It's not stupid.
It is.
It's not stupid, bro.
Well,
you just said it is. That's your opinion, bro.
You bust down as soon as you meet her. Come on, man.
I get the idea of trying to vet, right? We all vet shit all the time. We vet what car we want. We vet who we want to date. We vet neighborhoods we want to live at. It's nothing wrong with going through this analysis.
Right.
But the whole thing, if we're really talking about 90 days, it's like dangling this treat at the end of the tunnel. They're like, hey, guess what? It comes down to sex. And because now it becomes a distraction. Because now everything you do now isn't really about genuinely liking this person or conquering. Because one of the comments mentioned this shit. Men like to conquer shit, right?
One at a
so
time,
now
one
I'm
at a
trying
time,
to
one
conquer
at a
some
time.
shit at the end of that 90 days.
That's how I know you're not a good listener, because you're getting caught up on the semantics of 90 days and you're not understanding the concept behind why a woman is supposed to
I do have issue with that, so you are accurate. I don't care.
I think that
this is what I disagree with what you said, Ashley, because first of all, a woman shouldn't be concerned about how a man is going to take it and what it's going to cause a man to do. The whole purpose of preserving yourself, that's not the purpose of having a 90-day rule or even having the boundary set for yourself. The purpose of it is for you yourself as a woman to determine if this is the right move, if this is someone I should be paying attention to. Why are you so consumed with how the man is going to take it and why? That's
What
that's pointless.
Yeah.
And then how do you feel why do you feel like after the 90 days, if he leave you and y'all don't have sex, good. I mean, that's great. Like, that's great for you. And if after the 90 days, you know what? It just didn't work out. Why do you feel less than? You waited, you gave yourself time, you made a decision. And that doesn't mean it's going to be perfect, but at the end of the day, you gave yourself the time that you needed to make that decision. And you need to be comfortable with it when you do.
Yeah.
That's all that means.
I won't say that there are not some women who kind of have that frame of mind, but I just remember when this whole 90-day thing started to come about, it was from women bought into it who had been through the ringer with guys, been heartbroken, gave it up, I guess what some would say, too soon. And they felt like, oh, let me make him wait. And then that'll make him maybe respect me more, or maybe I'll get to know him more, or whatever. Now, regardless of what your reasoning is, my whole perspective is, if you really do just have your own self-respect and your own boundaries, then you don't need rules. Like, you don't need rules. You have a certain code or moral for how you live your life. So it's like, I don't think that you need a 90-day rule. Like, if you have just a basic, like, kind of wisdom or self-respect for yourself. So it's like, a lot of the women, like, I agree that some women may feel like, oh, okay, let me wait this long to get to know the guy. But a lot of women, from what it seems like it's just more manipulative, because they already know that they're going to have sex with them. They already have decided that.
Well, that's the point I'm saying. Like, it's all comes down to sex anyway. So we're just kicking the can down the road. I want to give it up, but I'm gonna make you wait. But I'm gonna give it up to you later. And I want you to earn it. I want you to acquire all these different things along. Here you go, Anton.
It doesn't come down to sex
without you chiming in.
Okay, I'll give you the perfect narrative, bro. My chick, when I met her, was a virgin, and she absolutely wanted me to take her virginity because we had established a relationship by which, we were best friends. And then because I had placed her on pedestal, literally, like, I had placed her well above every other chick that I had met, even though I had all of these other chicks running around. The idea was, nah, I'm not even gonna touch you. Like, I had so much respect for her and so much value for the fact that she looked at herself a certain type of way, even when she wanted me to. I was like, nah, I'm good, fam. Like, let's just keep vibing. Like, you know what I'm saying? I don't want to ruin this thing or this moment. Now, obviously, eventually, it did happen, but you know what I'm saying? I had already established, once I started dating her at that point, that, okay, you know what? This is the chick I want to be my wife. I slotted her completely. It wasn't based off sex, bro, is what I'm telling you. It's not a thing where the goal was to get sex from her. The goal was to get to know her at that point, because I had slotted her in the value system by which I looked at her above everybody else. And I said, yo, this is the one that's going to be the queen.
That's cool. That's cool. And that's great to hear. But also the variables that you mentioned, and Andrea kind of touched on this a little bit, the fact that when you already kind of have a pre-existing relationship with someone, I feel like you got to throw the 90-day concept in the parking lot, because you're already coming in with pre-existing knowledge about this person. So it really is a different path on how you engage in a relationship. We're talking about people who truly, I just met you. And I'm trying to get to know you. So the thing
I
is,
have never had sex with a man I just met. I've never had a one night stand.
But Andrea, think about it. You're coming in with already background information, and you know the tendencies, you know their temperament, you know if they really genuine, or they dream sellers, all of that. So the thing is that those are other variables. What we're talking about right now, really the whole 90-day concept. And the thing is, essentially, this comes down to sex. It's not like we waited 90 days to finally go on a date. I'm waiting 90 days to buy you a gift. It's all this whole 90-day concept comes down to sex. Ultimately, we talk about what is the outcome of all of this. The whole vetting process, the goal that we're seeking is really comes down to sex if we use this model. So we can't sit up here and say it's not about sex when we're leading with that. Anton, you gave a good point that it wasn't about that. that's cool and that's good. It's other ways to approach a relationship, but the thing is, the whole concept. Ashley, you mentioned about this thing, how it got embraced. It's a certain age group too. I want to say this shit is generational. As someone from a different generation that this wasn't adopted, this was shit that from folks 80s babies and shit, when we was in our teens and shit, going into the thousands, that was a thing. Then Steve Harvey came out with the fucking book and that really sold it. But ask a young head. Ask a young head that's younger than us, are they really applying the same logic?
Lord, you sound just like my man. He's talking about it's dated. I'm like,
yeah,
y'all
it is.
So
this
funny.
We real old school talking about this shit. It's like this. We still talking about the 90-day rule.
Well,
this
of course,
thousands right now. This is like
I'm
gonna take you out to a movie and a dinner type of shit. I don't care.
Of course, men don't want you to wait 90 days. What's the gain from that? It's like that. Y'all just avoiding the inevitable. I
don't usually say this. I don't usually say this, fam, because I'm an advocate for men, and I'm always mostly on the side of men because I feel like we get the short end of the stick.
Dude, just get your point across. Goddamn.
Nah, hold on, my son. Hold on, my son.
I want to hear.
I don't usually say this, but don't listen to Nix. He's full of shit, and he does not.
Ask somebody outside of your age group, man. I would challenge everybody. Ask somebody outside of your age group.
He does not live by these. Listen. This is the issue because everything that I say, I actually live by it. Nix does not live by these principles he's telling you chicks to operate by. Don't listen to him. He's full of shit.
Wow. I don't even know where you get your background information, knowing that we don't even live in the same city or state, nor have the same friends.
What?
So, I mean, sure.
You know where I get my background information? It's based off of the content of what you've been saying. No. It's based off of almost a year of doing this podcast. You switching the narrative because I know based off of what you said, not based off of anything that got to do with the city. So if it's a lie, you told it.
Well, it's the truth. I'm against the 90-day rule. That's it. So to make it short and sweet, JR, it's a waste. 90-day rule. Do men believe in it? I don't.
Okay.
So that's my opinion. I own that, Anton.
Can I just say something in response to what Tawana had said earlier?
Yeah, go ahead and close this out, Ashley.
So I definitely do agree. Like, I get what you're saying. Like, you shouldn't necessarily base your decision off of what a man just thinks. But the truth of the matter is, like, a lot of times women, and I could be wrong. I'm not saying that there aren't women out here who are really like, oh, I really just want to take my time. 90 days to me is just like ridiculously early. Like, it's just ridiculous. But for some women, that's like a significant amount of time. For most people, that's a significant amount of time. So they genuinely just want to take some time to get to know the person. And they feel like, oh, okay, if I wait this amount of time, then that'll tell me the information that I need to know. So, I do believe that there are some women who genuinely just think that that's the best thing. But I think that sometimes women do use it to be a little manipulative in relationships. And sometimes it's like, because I've heard women talk about it, and I'm just kind of like, look, do you have are you going from a moral standpoint? Like, you don't think that you should be sharing your body with somebody under this circumstance? Or are you just going to sit here and try to pretend like, oh, I'm going to make him wait, or kind of pretend to be hard to get, when every other relationship I've had, the panties were coming off way sooner. Like, is it genuine, or is it, sometimes I don't think it's genuine. And even with all that said, I do agree with like what Anton's trying to say about like men and how they kind of see when women who have sex with them like early on. Some men are like B-Nicks, where they're like, look, that doesn't matter to me as much. But I do think the majority of men, they don't want it like necessarily easy. Because then, like, if you got it easy, then there are so many other people who have too. So I think that, generally speaking, they don't take it seriously. But from a woman's point of view, I think that if you just have like a certain way of carrying yourself and dealing with yourself in relationships, like 90 days wouldn't necessarily be enough time anyway. Like you kind of you have to decide that on your own, but you don't necessarily have like, oh, now that doesn't mean you necessarily giving it up in 90 days or a week or 2 or whatever. But it's like you don't need a rule when you just have a certain standard for yourself. So that's kind of what I was thinking.
All right, we see you, Jim Brown.
I like that, Ashley.
You're a fan of Nick's.
I like that book.
All right, you guys, if you're just tuning in, welcome to Lapeef Let's Talk. Moving on to the next topic. Our next topic is, are men able to hold a woman accountable? Are men able to hold a woman accountable? Nix?
Yeah. I mean, are we talking about in a relationship?
Just period.
Yeah.
I mean, it could be a relationship, just period. Can men tell a woman and call on her shit? Can they?
I don't see why not. I mean, if anything, like going back to, I think we talked about some shows back, like this co-CEO model, like it's not one CEO, both is 2 people that are really co-leading the relationship. It should be both ways. I don't see why not, why a man shouldn't be able to call a woman out on what's going on. And the thing is, if you can't call the woman out on what's going on, then, I don't know how you want to run your relationship or whatever like that. But I would want to date somebody that I feel that, like, man, I could be able to come to you on some real shit and call you out on, like, if we talking about accountable about, hey, you said you going back to school, right? You bullshitting. You not putting forth the effort. You said you trying to work out. You're not putting forth the effort. Hey, you said you trying to be better with getting involved with family, all that shit. The thing is, we could go down the list of somebody that you're dating, but if you're going, this all comes down to communication. A lot of these things that we're talking about, one of the core things, can you communicate with your person? So part of holding someone accountable is being able to articulate truly your expectations of the relationship, their role, and how both of you can coexist. So for any man that feel that they're not able to have that conversation about accountability, what are you going to say in response? Oh, she doesn't listen to me. Oh, she does her own thing. Did that mean that you already lost that person? So I think that if you truly are in a relationship, that you genuinely got care and love for each other, then I don't see why you can't, like you mentioned, JR, call somebody out on their shit. Hey, whether it's an argument, so be it. I know there's cases where men sometimes be like, I don't want to hear her mouth. I don't want to hear her fussing. Like, oh, she going to go and blow this whole situation up. But by not saying anything, it's never going to get addressed. It's going to fester. And that's going to be part of the reason why you leave that person too. Because you're like, hey, you know what? Hey, I'm going to find somebody else that I can rock with better. So for me, I think that both, like as a man, I got to hold myself accountable to say that, you know what? I need to hold her accountable. I need to do a better job. We talked about it earlier in the other show about acts of service. I believe this is also an act of service that I need to ensure that I am promoting, ensuring that that person can be the best version of themselves. If you're in a relationship, that's supposed to be your best friend, right? Because we always say it's about really genuinely being honest about who you truly are, your authentic self. Then I should be able to call you out on your shit. And if I can't, and if you get mad that I call you out on your shit, obviously, you know what? It's not meant to be. It's not the right relationship. I don't care. I don't.
Hey, Nick, so you mean to tell me that every woman that you've dated, I'm not talking about your wife, but every woman that you've dated, you call them on their shit?
Present day, yeah. I think in the past, I was that person that I don't want to hear their mouth. What'd you say, JR?
I was just saying, like, with ease that you've been able to do that. I'm not talking about currently your mindset now, but in general, and even some of your friends and your family. Like, can men hold women accountable? I understand how you feel, but just in general.
Yes.
Okay.
So is it supposed to be no?
I'm just asking.
I don't know. I feel like some different energy, JR. Like, am I saying something incorrect or something? Because it's like, I don't see why not.
He's trying to pigeonhole you to say no. That's what he's trying to do. But yeah, you said the right answer.
I'm trying to make sure I'm understanding the follow-up question. Like, you should be able to. Have I done it in the past? I think in times most men just be like, hey, let her do her thing. But the thing is, I ain't built that way. We talked about this earlier about how to communicate. And historically, men who don't know how to communicate to their significant other because they just usually just be the chill person. But the thing is, like, that's my role. I have to be that version of that person because the thing is, I would want somebody to do the same for me, to call me out when I'm slacking. Because there have been cases where I haven't done what I'm supposed to do. But the thing is, it goes both ways. So what's your follow-up question, JR, before you move on to the next one? I know y'all never satisfied with what I got to say. So go ahead.
I don't care.
Moving on to the next one. Anton, do you feel like men are able to hold women accountable?
Nah, you talking about a grown person, fam. You can set expectations, you can set boundaries, but you can't hold another grown person accountable unless they work with you, bro. And so when you're talking about a partnership, you're talking about an environment that fosters A, good communication, B, expectation, and then C, an availability of, you know what I'm saying, making yourself available when need be. So for example, if I'm talking to a girl, right, and she tells me or she does something outside of my expectations, I just communicate to her. And then it's her choice of whether or not she want to roll with it or not. But I'm not about to be calling you out on your shit and hold you accountable and all of that. Like, that's what makes things difficult. You know what I'm saying? That's why why you hear people say relationships is so much work. Because it's not that deep, man. Like if you're the man that you're supposed to be, if you really want to just get down to it, if you're the man that what you're supposed to be, you don't have to say nothing. She know exactly what the expectation is. She'll follow you to the end of the earth because she knows that you got your stuff together and everything you do works in her benefit. So what? I don't feel as though I ever have to hold anybody accountable.
Relationships are not that simple, man. Like you always start off with like this level set that everybody just knows how to be in a relationship.
Hold on, fam. Hold on, fam. When I say hold a woman accountable, first of all, I'm talking about somebody that you're married to. Because if you don't have that bond with somebody, she ain't yours anyway, bro. She's not yours. You just auditioning for a role. Let's be clear. So if you in a relationship with somebody, to say that you're holding them accountable would mean as though you have some kind of authority over them. And I can't say that that's true because I don't have any authority over anybody. I think that my chick realizes the value that I bring. I communicate. I'm honest about exactly who I am and what my expectations are. And she does the same thing also. But I can't say that she or I holds each other accountable because we already know exactly what it is that we want and what we expect. And so anything outside of that will create a problem. It's not worth it. I got
a question. JR, real quick. I try a different approach. I got a question I want to pose to you, Anton. So let's say your chick, right, asked you, she was supposed to do something. She said she was going to do it, right? And she didn't. So do you just like look the other way, like, oh, you didn't do it, you were supposed to do it, I really wanted you to do it?
You want me to get a belt and whoop her or something?
No, he calls his girl his chick. No, Andrea, no. He calls his wife his chick.
No. I know that he calls his wife his chick, but I need the audience to know. I know that. You know that. Okay. I need the audience to know.
I purposely did that. I purposely said chick because I usually don't use the term chick.
I say chick because
I know you do. I know.
I've noticed.
But thanks for the clear. You're right, Andrea. Thank you for that.
You want me to get a belt out and whoop her or something? What do you want me to do to her?
No, I want you to say something. Like, so what? Like, do you just not say anything? So the thing is, to me, part of holding somebody accountable is the conversation.
Okay, but I don't feel like that's holding somebody accountable. That's like, oh, yo, this is that. And that's it. Like, she can choose to do what she want to do.
No, to me, that's calling somebody out. Like, you said you was going to do something and you didn't. And it was something I really wanted you to do.
Talking, communicating with somebody is different than holding them accountable. If you're holding them accountable, that means that if you don't do this as a result of this behavior that you're perpetuating, then this will be the end result. So like that's not what we do, bro.
Question: have you ever been in a situation where she's done something that you disliked? Did you not say anything, or how do you?
But he's saying that that's not
how just. What?
say something doesn't mean you're holding them accountable. Like, it's just an issue of semantics right now. Like, you're saying,
I think that she understands what who she is. I think that it's more important for you to hold yourself accountable. I know who I am. I know if I mess up. I know if I do somebody dirty. I don't need anybody to say anything for me to hold myself accountable. I do it so every single day. So no, I don't feel as though it's necessary to hold anybody accountable. That's a grown person. Even your friends, if they do something that on the line with your values or your morals, you can say, yo, I don't really rock like that, but I'm not giving an ultimatum like, yo, if you don't do it this way. No, I don't move like that. Either you rock with it or you don't.
I don't know. I don't look
we
at
can just
ultimatums the
move
same.
our
Maybe,
friendship into a
and
completely
Ashley,
different
maybe
zone.
I'm defining it differently. So maybe that's why I'm missing the point. But y'all go ahead.
Ashley, I'm coming to you.
well,
Man, go ahead.
no, oh, go ahead. I don't want to.
I was just reading the question over again. Are men able to hold women accountable?
When I think of the question, are men able to hold women accountable? I think of something different from what you had asked after that about, like, can men call women out? I think those are two different things. When I think about accountability, I think about, like, there's some type of, you have a certain relationship. Like if this person doesn't do something else will be the result of it. And I think that, it really just depends. Like, that's not really how we treat our relationships with people. Like, if your friend doesn't do something, you'll call her out on it. But ultimately, I kind of agree with what Anton is saying. You can't really hold them accountable. But your way of kind of holding them accountable is by bringing it up and calling them out. So it's like, you can call people out. You should be able to. And I think men are able to. But it depends on the woman. Like, just like it depends on the man when we call them out on things. Some women don't receive it very well. So it really, I don't think it's about men or women. I think it's about the person. Like, are you able to go to this person and tell this person, like, hey, you dropped the ball with this? You should be able to. And whether or not you can kind of just depends on the relationship that you have with the person, But as far as like calling them out versus making them accountable, are they one and the same? I mean, you can distinguish between the two, or you can consider like calling them out to be holding them accountable. But either way, I would say, like, men can do it in their relationships. It's just about whether or not they choose to, and whether or not the woman is.
So I will say this. It is how you hold women accountable. Sometimes I feel like men talk to us just a little crazy. Of course you can hold us accountable, but you got to talk to us right, period. You have to be gentle, I think. I mean, you can be a little aggressive, but you can't just talk to a woman any kind of way. So
what?
Yes, no, you can't. Especially now, mind you, Anton is married. Ashley, are you married?
No.
I'm not married. Ashley is not married. Tawana, you married. So I'm talking to me and Ashley. I'm not your wife. Talk to me nice. You got me fucked up. You know what I'm saying?
What?
Period. Yeah. Talk to me nice. You know my husband. Explain to me. Talk to me. Of course we can be held accountable. Everybody can be held accountable. But no, I'm not your wife. Talk to me nice. Period.
Tawana, I don't think you responded on this yet. Can men hold women accountable?
The last time a man held me accountable, my daddy held me accountable. I mean, okay, yes, I have gotten a ticket on the car, and Chris was like, hey, you gonna pay that ticket. Like, you got a ticket. Like, my man hold me accountable for making mistakes that ultimately cause some kind of, like, tension in our relationship, right? Like, man, you're gonna mess up my license. Or if, something happens, like, I'm held accountable for certain things, but the kids, the people who I hold accountable are my children. That's who I hold accountable. I tell them when they need to do something and how often they need to do it. Like my man told me that I did something, and then it's up to me to make a decision to change that about myself. So he not gonna be like every day, like, remember I told you did this. Like I have to be consciously saying like, dang, you know what? I heard, like I did this bothered him. And so like, I need to change it. So I do think that, yes, that, a little bit of what Andrea said is like, it's the way you approach a person, because you cannot, I'm an adult. So you do have to come with me with some level of respect. And so I guess depends on how a man decides to approach you about something that they want to, because I'm trying to, even understand why you asked this question and what this question, like what this question is trying to, trying to say. So I'm like, okay,
he
like,
did this.
Yeah, you can hold somebody accountable in a relationship if a person has done something.
Hold on.
If somebody has done something that violates that relationship, it could be cheating, it could be a financial obligation that you guys have to get out of, and that person can be held accountable. But obviously, when you're married and it's a partnership, even if I paid out my dollar, even though that was the result, I had to pay it, but it come out of our money. I have to remind him that, like, even if I paid it,
but the thing about it though,
Tawana, I do understand.
The thing about it though, Tawana, is that that's not holding you accountable. You know what I'm saying? Like holding you accountable would mean that, I don't know. I always equate it to.
I think I'm misinterpreting like how I hold people. I look at it that if you say you're gonna do something,
well, I think accountability is that's having to justify a decision that you're making. Like I just think it's like, okay, I have to, justify why I'm doing this to another person or to someone. I have to basically explain myself, and I think that once you feel that way, you may feel like, this person is holding me accountable. And so I do think that to some level in relationships, you do feel like, you may have to explain your position, explain why you did something, and you have to, justify it to a certain extent. Should it be for every little thing? But some stuff, like I said, that affects us both, our finances.
That's just effective communication, though. That's not holding each other accountable.
Yeah, like I just want to say this. When I posed this question, it was more so women have no problem holding men accountable, speaking up about it.
What? Who said that?
Who said what?
You know how many men haven't held accountable?
Yeah, women.
You've been married 16 years. You need to be quiet. You don't know nothing about holding nobody accountable. Period. Okay. I was with a man. I told you I'm about to be 22. I've been single for mid 30s. Now mid 40s. I ain't. You just don't know. Be quiet, Antoine, and look at your view. Look at your view outside, because you don't know nothing about holding no man or woman.
But JR, what do you mean by women hold men?
But I don't hold anybody. I don't hold nobody accountable. That's the thing. Like, I don't believe in that. Like, I just believe that everybody should take ownership.
No. To me, I always look at accountability.
I'm wondering where JR was. Can I hear JR? Because I really want to hear his point, because he was getting started on what he meant by women hold men accountable. What do you mean by that? So maybe we all missing the loop on whatever your direction of this conversation was supposed to go.
All right, let me try to put you guys up in the right direction. So when I thought about this, is that like when a man is wrong in a woman's eyes, the woman has no problem speaking up about it. But when the woman is wrong and the men have to say something about it, the women not trying to hear it. So
we resist it.
Right. So the question was, who basically holds a woman accountable? Because from what I've seen, even though you can speak on it, sometimes women ain't trying to hear. Sometimes women giving you kickback, or they try to change the narrative, or they trying to point it back on you. It's like they don't want to admit when they in the wrong or when they at fault.
I think we can say that too, though, about men. Like,
but we're not talking about that. I know
yeah,
that
so
about you tonight is that
But it's a one-sided
every
conversation.
time
You
we have a
can't
question, every time we have a question out there, it always goes back to the woman. That's exactly what the woman does when
But
we
JR,
have
what
these
you do-
conversations.
But
I'm-
JR, what you don't realize is only when the women try to flip it do you stop us. If Anton and
But I
DVD Mix
have
flip
the
it,
question
you
on the
don't-
screen. It
you
says,
don't-
"Are
you
men
don't
able
stop
to hold
them.
the woman accountable?" That's what the question says. So
So
I'm just trying to keep us on track here.
So I get what you're saying. Like,
Bias.
I don't think it's like a woman or man thing. I think it's a person thing. That's what I'm saying.
Right, but we're not talking about person. We're talking about particularly men. Can men hold women accountable? Yes
I
or no?
can't speak for everybody's relationships. I think.
What do you think?
For me,
In relationships or period?
I think when in the general conversation, a lot of times women they don't kind of fess up with stuff. Yeah, but then on a personal level, from just what I know about people and their relationships, like I know for a fact that there are women who will bite their tongue with their husbands because their husbands have no problem telling them, what they think. But then when they try to do it, then all of a sudden it becomes, oh, you're belittling me. So I know that for a fact. Now, if you're talking about just like, on social media, these conversations that we have, these gender wars, like a lot of times women don't fess up and there is no accountability. But just in like personal relationships, from what I know about and from experience, like, men can tell you what they don't like, but then when you have to tell them, no matter how you tell them, some men have a hard time swallowing that.
We're not talking about that. You keep taking it back to the man. We're talking about the women. I was liking what you were saying until you just redirected it back.
So let me tell you, like in relationships, I've heard men talk about their girls, like, not fessing up, not saying I'm sorry. I can't say that it doesn't happen. I mean, if y'all say it happened, then I'll take your word for it. But from relationships that I know about, I can think of one person who I think is kind of gives her husband a hard time. The other women that I know who are married, they try to listen to their husbands, and they like when their husbands call them out on stuff. Now, do they change everything? Probably not.
I don't need to hold you accountable. I set the expectation. You can choose whether or not you want to rock with it or not. And if you know what I'm saying, if you deviate or you make a mistake, that's up to you. Up to you to own it and hold yourself accountable for it. I can choose whether or not I want to continue to rock with you. But I set the expectation. You can choose whether or not you want to rock with it. And that's the end of the conversation. Like for me, I'm not about to hold nobody accountable. I don't have time to be holding anybody accountable. I'm just not doing it, man. It's not that deep. And the overwhelming majority of conversations that people harp on, hey, I need an apology. Yo, fam, grow up, fam. Like, it's not that deep, man. People do stuff. Everybody is human. Everybody make a mistake. I don't need you to account to me for every single situation. Unless it's a really, really, really big thing, a really big moment. It's not even that deep to even have that much of to spend our time with this little nuance. Let's keep it moving. You know what my expectations are. And if not, then I'm just going to re-communicate it to you until you get it. And then we just going to figure it out from there. We can move and make our adjustments.
I hear what you're saying.
Men do hold women accountable.
I hear what you're saying, but it's just one of those that like, it maybe like when I think of accountability, like I think you was talking about, nobody's beating.
Let's go ahead and close us out on this one.
It's about having the conversation. So the thing is, and I think Ashley, like I was talking about earlier about the calling out, is like, I'm not saying that, you know what, you're going to be on punishment now because you didn't follow through on what you were supposed to do. But I mean, I feel like part of accountability is being able to have the conversation. You mentioned that. So maybe we're talking about the same thing, Anton. But the thing is, everybody makes mistakes. No one person.
It's not having a conversation. It's how you communicate. I don't even have to say certain things. She knows.
Well, that's good for you, brother. That's good for you.
That type of way.
That's good that you could just walk around the house and nobody gotta say nothing. Everybody knows their marching orders. But that's not real life, man. It's not.
don't
Like,
care.
I don't see why somebody is not allowed to just say, like, hey, guess what you didn't do? Like, I know you don't got time. Maybe I do got time. I don't know.
I don't
But
care.
the thing is, I just want to know that the dialogue is available.
Give me a specific example. Give me an example. Give me a real example. Give me a real scenario. Andrea.
You talking about Knicks, right?
Give me an example. It don't matter. Somebody give me an example. Give me a real scenario in which I would have to hold a woman accountable.
A woman's not cleaning the house. You know, she's not cleaning the house. You know,
that's an easy one.
Paying her. It's easy.
No, yeah, that's an easy one.
I mean, there's so
wait,
many
which one is your example? Which one do you want me to deal with?
Well, he said it's the easy way. Y'all help me out.
Hey, Nick, give him an example.
Which one y'all want me to deal with?
I'm thinking.
A woman
just give me a minute.
Was gonna
because you said wait. You said that we need to hold them accountable, so you should be able to easily foster an example.
Well, shit. Nobody ain't done no unaccountable shit recently.
Or for
I don't know. I can't remember shit.
Your wife went over the budget or something. Like
I know some shit I did.
Let's say your wife goes over the budget, or I don't know.
Yeah, you spent money out the joint account. Perfect example, Ashley. You spent money out the joint account.
So
the rules are
talk to her about it.
Yeah, the rules are joint account expenses are for family and house expenses, not personal expenses. So guess what? You can't use the joint in order to spend shit out the account. That's why folks got separate accounts. But the thing is, I don't know. Everybody's different. We got our own separate accounts for what we want to do, and we got a joint account for joint and family expenses. So you can't go into the joint.
So you already
saw
for it
the
though.
Conversation to say, guess what?
It sounds like you already saw for it though, right?
What'd you say?
You got separate accounts. You already saw for it. She got her
shit
own
happens.
account.
I do the shit. She do the shit. So the thing is, we all get in a bind, man. Don't act like it's not a perfect world, bro.
Come on, man.
Right,
okay, so
what are we talking about?
Andrew, I don't understand Anton's point. Like, what was your
final thought? We're gonna move over to the next one. Go ahead, Andrea.
We'll talk about this later. We'll talk about it later. We can move to the next one because I can.
Hey, Anton, you killing me tonight, bro. I don't know what you on tonight. You just say you a curmudgeon, man. You like real bitter tonight for whatever reason.
Listen. I got a vodka company that sent me a lot of vodka to sponsorship for my videos. I've been drinking today, so I'm gonna let it all hang loose tonight.
Of course. Of course you do.
All right, so if you just tuning in, welcome to Lapeef. Let's talk. We're gonna move on to the next topic, which is: do men really want women to reach for the check? Do men really want women to reach for the check?
Can I start off with this one, fam? We just gonna go ahead and get this on.
Go ahead. I was gonna actually recommend you to do that. Go ahead, Anton. You speak for men,
I think
right?
you already know my I think you are. No, I speak for high value men. It's different levels. So here's the thing. I don't care whether you reach for the check or not. I just want you to be operating in your purpose and to be in a space to where you actually feel as though you are the best version of yourself. You can reach for the check, but that don't have no bearing on whether or not we're gonna be successful or we're gonna be in a great space. You can choose to work, you can not work. You can go and do a nonprofit, or you can go and get a bunch of degrees. It don't really matter. None of that matters to men of a certain level and of a certain status. The only thing that matters is if you meet a certain criteria that I have as an expectation. Are you still beautiful? Are you being the best version of yourself? Are you really reaching for excellence? Like, those are the things that matters, and can I move a certain type of way to where you continue to add value to my life. But as it relates to finances, that has no bearing whatsoever because I'm already in the space. I'm always going to be in the space to where we never need or want for anything anyway. So, nah, that don't matter to a certain level of guy. Real talk.
Next.
Well, for one, I can say I'm not a high value man. I don't define myself as that. I just don't. So I guess here we go with the protagonist, antagonist, right? And if you did a lot of talking, which I agree with.
No, I get it. I mean, we're in different spaces, so I get it now.
We are.
I get it. I understand why you say things you say now. That makes sense.
No,
bro.
we are in different spaces. But I would say like it's because I don't think anything wrong if a woman wants to pay for the check. So I admit, like I think just for context, so I'm married to we actually going on 13 years that we've been married, and there are cases that we do front the check for each other. You know, I think is since we've first known each other, it's always been one of those like, hey, I got you this time, or let's split, or hey, I got you. Whoever, you know, it's never been like a thing. I don't have an issue if she wants to say like, hey, you know what? I'm taking you out tonight.
Split what? What do y'all split? What you mean?
I thought we was talking about check like.
I really don't understand.
We talking about check like going out to eat. Am I slow?
Yeah.
I just want to make sure I'm understanding.
Yeah, out to eat.
That's what I'm talking about, Anton. I was talking about just going out to eat, bro.
No, I'm saying
what?
Like she pay for the check and stuff like that.
Yeah, my wife does pay for the check. I didn't know she was allowed not to pay for the check.
Never. My chick.
I knew you was gonna see. I didn't. I know that's like the alpha beta shit, right? Like, hey, that's my wife. If she wants to take me out to dinner on my fucking birthday or something, go right ahead. The thing is, it's like it's not a thing. We're creating issues when it's not.
She out there working hard and getting to the bag so she can take you out.
I don't care. Yeah, she's working hard. You know my expectation. Everybody in this house works, right? Everybody has a job. So if you want to spend your money, then hey, that's fine. But the thing is, it's not nobody's keeping score. That's the part that becomes one of those like that's if me and my person that I'm with and we're cool with, hey, whoever front the check, cool. But I think if I'm dating someone, so just to give a little more context, if I'm dating someone and if I was dating, like wanted to pursue Ashley or something, that would be something that like, hey, I asked her out, then that's something that, hey, I'm going to pay for the check. That's something that I'm initiating because that's something that I want to do. So the thing is, people don't mind paying for check if they're trying to invest in somebody. So the thing is, I think a lot of this is contextual. If you are already in a relationship, hey, throw a bag. It don't matter. But if you're trying to pursue someone and I'm the guy, I think it is kind of that expectation that I ask you out to eat and I'm going to cover the bill. Some people may feel like, hey, we're not committed yet. Do you split? If it's an issue like that, then y'all need to talk about it before y'all go out to eat. And maybe women, I'm not the person. I'm not him. I'm not that high value guy that whatever Anton is claiming to be. But the thing is, have the conversation about it first if you feel it's going to be some stay. Oh, I got booed. I forgot. You and JR, y'all talk about the topics before we hop on the show. So, of course, y'all already know what's going on.
Did he boo you? That's a boo?
Yeah, that was a boo. Because I said my wife, it's okay for me to go out to eat. I didn't know it was a bad thing.
Hey, like before I move to the ladies, I'm gonna speak up because I'm a man. If a man has it, he gonna always take care of it. But I do think that it don't have to be checks, but I do think the woman should try to find something that man likes, and do something for him. So it may not be in the form of a check, but every now and then, if she offers, even though he gets it, I mean, it's still gonna feel good. But even if it's not the check, then I think that if it's something he might have mentioned on the low or something like that, and then she comes back around and she gets it for him, that's something that she can do. But as far as the check, I mean, the check is not a big deal. I mean, if I go out, I anticipate that I'm gonna cover everything anyway.
Like out of her own money?
Who? What you mean? As far as what? Hold on.
Anton, be quiet for a minute, bro.
Question. Hey, Anton, go ahead.
No, I was just saying, like, her doing it out of her own money, like that she work for.
What you talking about as far as the check, or are you talking about?
Hey, what are you talking about, bro? Like you blowing me tonight. Like I don't get it. Like, bro, like.
Hold on, Nick. I'm trying to hear his question.
He don't have one.
No, yes, I do. I'm just trying to understand. Like, are y'all saying that she needs to like buy you stuff or take you out or stuff like that every once in a while? I'm not saying there's nothing wrong with it, but I'm just saying, is that the expectation?
No, it's not. It's not an expectation, but I do think that some women feel as though they think guys are suckers, and I've actually heard this from like high value. I was on Clubhouse actually. That's where I got this topic from, and that was a guy that was high value. He don't have a problem spending $1,000 shopping, all of that, but it was just the whole principle. It was the whole principle of just just offering like every now and then, so you don't feel like it's entitled. He was gonna cover it regardless, whether it happened, but every now and then, he didn't mind her offering, whether it been in the form of I'll go ahead and I'll tip, or it could have been in the form of something he might have mentioned that he really liked and she just might have surprised him. So I do think that every man is different. I don't think that, me personally, I don't expect it, but every now and then somebody may kind of woo you and be like, "Oh, don't worry about it, I got it," and you kind of look up like, "Damn, like really? No, don't worry about it, I got it, but I appreciate it."
So I got something to say, right? Are we talking about your girlfriends, your wife, or bitches you just taking out? Like, which one is it? If it's your wife, of course, y'all got the same bank account. The man can always pay because it's y'all card, it's y'all same card, it's the card, whatever, right? Somebody you dating, shit is still the same. If I'm dating a man and want to go out, and I'm like, come on, babe, let's go out. And if we go out, let's just $300. I'm be like, babe, I'm about to send you 2. I'm about to send you 3. I'm just gonna pay. It's whatever. Who cares? Who the fuck cares? Who pays the bill? But if it's a motherfucker who I'm just start fucking with, the man gonna pay. You ain't even got the pussy yet. You ain't paid enough for the pussy. Who the fuck are you to, like, I'm so confused. If I'm just fucking with you, I done gave you pussy before the 90-day rule. I done gave you pussy with the 90-day rule. You paying. You paying, period. My husband, my man, y'all seen the little girl, the little white girl, she was like, hell yeah. Hell yeah. Hell yeah. You paying. Man, you've been married for a long time, Anton. Just call me B Nix. You've been married for a long time. Y'all shut the fuck up. You know what I'm saying?
What?
If I was a wife, what I'm saying is, listen to me. What I'm saying is if I was a wife, which, like with my baby daddy, I was with him for years. Me and him come out right now, and I'd be like, okay, I got this, so you got this, so I got this, cool. A man I just met, I don't know you. You don't know me. You ask me out. You're going to pay the tab. And I'm a cheap date. I ain't going to order not, because if I order lots, they're going to think they're going to get some pussy. No. No. I ain't even that thirsty. I ain't even that hungry. No. I'm good, because the more I run up my tab, you're going to think that you're going to get some. So no, I'm good. I'm good. But husband and wife is different. You know what I'm saying? And B Nix, I do understand what you're saying, right? So if you go out and you say your wife's gonna take care of it this time, you're gonna take care of it this time, I do feel that y'all should have a joint account for the food, and you should always use your card. That's what? Our card, our joint card. What do you mean? The joint card.
I didn't say nothing.
The joint card. Just because it's your card don't mean it's your money. Just because it's your card don't mean I might have cashed up you, Zell you real quick, like it's on me, but I just want you to go on, pay the tab. Like I want you to give the waitress your card, even if it's my money. You get me? Anybody else get me on that or no? Am I the only person who does that?
To each his own. I mean, it's really like it's a non-issue. I mean, y'all go ahead and talk, but I don't care. I think the only hey, the soundbite's been throwing me off all night, but it's not a big thing. But going back to what you mentioned, Andre, and I mentioned it with the Ashley example. It's one of those that if I'm pursuing you and like going back to the 90 days, right? If I'm pursuing you, this is part of the pursuit that, hey, I'm trying to date you. I'm trying to be with you. I'm going to do whatever I can in order to set the expectation that, hey, I want you. So the thing is, like, when you're dating, I think it is an expectation that the man pays. But at a certain point, once you get with somebody, I don't see there's anything wrong. We just talked about this shit with the 5 love languages, right? Buying gifts. If somebody wants to take you out to eat and they have the opposite sex, I know, Anton, you frown on this shit.
Real quick, B-Nix, real quick. Remember how early I said I was a finesse queen? So when I go out with a man who I probably know he is, who I finally decide to get some pussy to, okay? We go out.
What?
Exactly. I'm probably going to pay the tab because I'm the finesse queen. That's what I do. I'm going to pay the tab. I'm going to pay it.
I got a question.
First of all, let me just tell y'all something. I'm not paying I don't care what a man think. I'm not paying. I don't care what you think. I don't care how you feel about me after the date.
I'll pay it.
It don't matter to me. It do not matter to me. If you ask me out on a date, I expect you to pay. However, I pay when I am trying to treat him or I feel like this person is special and I want to do something nice for them. And it's nothing wrong with you making that decision. But do I care about, okay, a man asks me out and me making, trying to impress him and reaching for the tab so I can pretend like I'm going to pay. Let me see if I'm in. Nope, I don't care. Nope, I just sit there. You don't have to ask me like, you going to pay your half. Like, cool. You asked me. Okay, fine. I guess I got to. But I don't feel no type of way about not paying the tab. Not at all.
Me neither. I'm with you, Tawana. Only time I decide to pay the tab is #finesse queen.
Can I mention something? I'm sorry, Andrea. Like the finesse thing,
just go ahead, and then I'm gonna go to Ashley.
Something in me as a man, and now it's not even about me being married. Fuck the fact that I'm married right now, right?
I'm cracking up at you. You are funny.
Yeah, too damn funny. Because the thing is, it's like one of those like this. Ashley, I'm sorry, you didn't speak. I'm a reserve.
I'm coming to Ashley next.
Before you go off on Andrea, let me hear Ashley's perspective. I would love to hear everybody.
Well,
Ashley, go ahead.
Oh, I'm sorry, I keep doing it. Well, it seems like if you were to just kind of look at a lot of things that men put like on social media, it seems like they really do want women to pick up the tab. Like they're complaining because they've taken girls out on dates and the girls are just using them. And we know like there are a lot of women who will just go out on a date with the guy for a meal. And so they're used to that. They're used to
finesse.
They're used to women kind of playing them a little bit or taking advantage of the situation. So, you hear guys like complaining about it like a lot. But from my own personal experience, every time I have offered to pay the tab, except for one guy, they were kind of like offended. So I think a lot of men take pride in kind of being, the provider or kind of like having the money or whatever. And so I think it depends on the man for one thing. And this is like not a marriage situation. This is like where you just kind of like dating. Maybe you just started dating somebody. So I would say they don't. But it depends. They don't really want women to pick up the tab. Not if they are really into her, I don't think. Now, if they just trying to smash, they probably wouldn't mind her picking up the tab, But
it's the part where it gets into the layers and stuff, right? Because the thing is, like, you're touching on that, Ashley, where it's two aspects of this. Like the guy just trying to smash, right? So I'm a front or whatever.
Why he taking her out anyway?
Yeah, but see, that's the thing. Like, this is the things that don't get discussed, right? We talked about it's almost the opposite of the 90-day shit, where now all of a sudden you got somebody that's taking you out to eat with an expectation that I took you out to eat that it's gonna relate to me getting something in return. No, there are men that don't act like there aren't men who don't have expectations.
How old are you? See, we gotta talk about in our age range. I'm
talking about that. I'm 38.
Red Lobster. I'm about to be 43. So when I told you I got 22 little young son, you still a baby. Yeah, I'm not fucking for a tab. You know what I'm saying? I'm not fucking for a
But I'm not saying me, but there are men out there. So I think we always tell our story. But there are other people out there besides us that do think like this.
Yeah.
We're not talking about them. We're talking about us.
No, we're not talking about us. We're giving an opinion, but I'm generalizing the shit where there are other people outside of the 6 people on this call that do pay for the pussy.
What?
So you can't sit up here and act like, and you just say you be finessing people. So then you got men who are tricking, and then you just going out for a meal.
B Nick, who you yelling at?
What?
I'm a whole. Who you yelling at? I'm a whole chef in here. Don't nobody gotta go out for no motherfucking meals for no.
I'm not talking about you, Dan Andre. I just said we're talking about people outside of these six boxes that I'm looking at. Because there are women out there who have a different person every day of the week that they go out to eat with. So it is a finesse. They got somebody set up Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, somebody that's a Red Lobster versus whatever else folks eating at and shit. Maury Steakhouse, all type of shit. So the thing is, there are men out there being used. So don't sit up here and act like because we're doing this all
being used. If they dumb enough to be used, then they can be used. Because that's
see.
stupid.
Hey, Ashley, this is why you see the shit on social media. This is exactly what men are talking about.
Okay, so listen. I don't
know you ain't right, Andrea. That's some. I know.
I don't believe
my cousin. Me and Anton are cousins. I already know.
Yeah, y'all. Yeah.
What?
We different.
I don't think you should
me
go
and
out
Anton with cousins.
I don't think you should use men like that.
I don't think you should go out with somebody that you're not interested.
You said the finesse.
Let me
Okay,
next.
All right, y'all. Hey, somebody go ahead and close us out.
I was just trying to make a statement there.
Go ahead,
I don't think you should go out with men who you're not interested in just for dinner. I disagree with that entire concept.
Right.
Now, what I'm saying is the men who have asked me out, I am not reaching for the check. I'm sorry. And I don't care how you feel about it. And I know I should be like, oh, I should care because the man wants me to make the initiative. I don't. And I have never been asked to pay for a tab when I'm going on a date. Never. Not once have a man said, I want you to pay. And I don't even know if they felt some type of way about it. But I mean, I'm okay because I'm getting married. So I don't really care how they felt.
I don't care.
I don't care. But I'm just saying that I don't really feel like you should ever feel like you should be going out with somebody that you know you're not interested in and you're really only doing it just because you want to eat. Like, I think that's the lowest thing a woman can do. I just think that I go out with men who I'm truly interested in and I really want to get to know. And so that's the whole purpose. Like, I'm not going out with somebody just because I don't have nothing else to do. Like, I don't know. So I guess
I hear what you're saying,
I think that depends on the women. Like you said, women do that.
I give us two scenarios. You got men that are very disingenuous on their intention on going out with women, and you got women that are also not truthful about their intent on going out to eat. It's a game. It's another one of these games that I'm talking about. So that goes beyond like just age group. I think there's a significant group of people that are not being honest about the true outcome of the date.
You right, B Nick. Just call me B Nick. You right. You right.
Hey, you ain't gotta patronize me. I hear it.
You know what?
But it's real though.
So real. So what's the question? Is it yes or is the answer yes or no? Like, do men really want women to pick up the tab?
Yeah, do y'all really want that?
No.
Anton said no.
No.
I say no.
JR said no. B Nick, what do you say? Do men
I
really
don't have an
want
expectation for that, but if my wife, Andrea, being clear, regardless whether who card or whatever, it's all in the same pot. But the thing is, we talked about this shit with the 5 love languages. If my wife wants to say like, hey, I got you tonight, hey, I don't see why this is a penalty. And y'all sitting up there trying to jump on me, acting like it's a bad thing.
No.
I think you got
confused.
That's crazy.
No, babe. No, B Nick. I just think you got it confused. You've been married a long time.
All right, so we're gonna move on to the
see,
next
now
topic.
you try to put me in the parking lot. I know what you're trying to do. You put me in the parking lot.
We're gonna move on to the next topic. If you
How many fucking topics we got
it's
tonight?
the last topic. Chill out.
Man, we
Chill
got
out.
5.
Hey,
I mean, seriously,
hey.
we had like 10 topics today.
I think we just been talking a long time. That's all. It's the last and final topic. Welcome to
Bro, it's damn
Lapeef
near
Let's
11
Talk.
o'clock, ain't it?
If you just joining us, we're moving
Damn.
on to our last and final topic of the night, which is potential enough in a relationship? Is potential enough in relationships? Ashley.
I would say it depends on what type of potential you're talking about. And it also depends on like your age, you know, like your age and where you are in your life. When I was 22, you know, it was okay if you lived at home, and like it was okay if you just hadn't had some things figured out. If fast forward to 34, you know, I got questions now. If you still living at home, or you know, I need to know some background, or like, so it depends on what type of potential you're talking about too. Because nobody's gonna be perfect, but like some things you can't date on potential. You know, like you gotta look at their patterns, you gotta look at their history, look at who they are. Like, yeah, they could change and grow, but you gotta kind of look at like you do have to look at their past. Some people don't care about past, but past to me reveals patterns, and it says a lot about a person. Most people don't change that much. And I mean, not saying you should hold their past against them, but you can't just be dating for potential. But like I said, it depends on what type of potential. So like some people, like we're all working on something, right? So if you see a potential in that person to change some aspect about themselves, like maybe it's losing weight, like having a healthier lifestyle, you know, that's something you might say, oh, okay, I see this person really is trying. This person is making some lifestyle changes. You know, this person might be a little heavier now, but I see that they are moving towards something better. So that type of potential, yeah. But it really just depends on what type of potential you're talking about. Like there are some women and men, I guess, who date people who are just kind of like, they don't have a lot of focus in life. They're doing a whole lot of things that are destructive. So it's like, that's not the type of potential that you need to be kind of investing in, I don't think.
Tawana.
Actually, you know what? You're so nice. You are really, really nice. You nice, girl. I like you. You nice. You way nicer than Anton and me.
Hey, Tawana, is potential enough in relationships?
Potential is always a gamble. I don't date potential because I'm just in a different place in my life. I just need you to be established in who you are and where you at. And, you know, obviously if there's room to grow, if that's what you mean by potential, like there's room for that person to grow in life later, great. But I do need to be with the person who you are in the present moment. And I need to be accepting of that person. I don't want to date you and then hope that you become something different later on, because that is the wrong approach, in my opinion. Never works out. It's just always a gamble. And yes, sometimes it does work out for the best. You know, Michelle Obama dated the intern, but look, he became president. Like, I mean, sometimes it does work out for the best. They were much younger. And I think sometimes
he was already on the way to be.
He was always on the way.
Lawyer.
But what I'm saying is, but she was already in her role. So what I'm saying is, you know, sometimes people do see the potential, and then they be like, you know, okay, this person can potentially be something that so I'm not saying that you can't date someone who is not exactly in the place that you want them to be if you see that they have room to grow. But I don't date someone who is totally missing key elements that I find value to or think is important. I'm just at a place in my life where charity cases are not attractive to me. I don't have time to work on work on developing you, but I think that some women love to do that. But I don't. And so nope, potential is not enough for me.
Anton, is potential enough in relationships?
No, I don't believe in that, bro. I think that, as a matter of fact, I believe that some people is too broke to be dating. You can't even You ain't got time to be thinking about chicks, bro. You should stop chasing chicks and start chasing chicks. Like, okay, even if you did get her, what you gonna do with her, bro? You know what I'm saying? Like, you can't do nothing with her. Ain't nothing you can do for her. She don't align with you. She not even on your level, bro. You are in a space to where very soon you're gonna be emasculated because you don't even feel like the man you're supposed to be, and very much so because you ain't the man you're supposed to be yet. You need to get yourself together, fam. Stop focusing on the things that's not actually bringing any value to your life. You gotta understand. You need to become the best version of you, and then everything else get added in addition to that. It's not about potential. I'm not rocking with potential, fam, because for every Obama, it's 100 dudes that's still in their 40s trying to be rappers talking about I'm gonna make it one day. Fam, I'm gonna need you to get a job. I'm gonna need you to get some benefits. I'm gonna need you to get an education. I'm gonna need you to get yourself together and take care of your family and stop being out here living on a limb because ain't
Anton,
nobody
you don't
got
know
time to
my
be
life.
dating
You don't know
potential.
my life. You speak into my life, like for real. I dated somebody who was trying to be a rapper.
Look at the guy, fam. And it's 24 hours in a day, which means that whatever that potential thing is that you think is gonna blow, I'm gonna need you to do that in your spare time. I'm gonna need you to do that after 5 o'clock. But from 9 to 5, I'm gonna need you to clock in and get yourself a job and get you some benefits. Because ain't nobody got time to be dating potential. That's dead.
But the fact that I had to tell him that is the problem. Like, why do I have to tell you that you need a real job? Like, you can't pursue music forever. Like, but how do you even get back right after you have to tell somebody that? And I was younger, more flexible in my thinking, I guess, as Ashley's point. You know, obviously you get older, it's like, no, I ain't got time for that.
Be next. Is potential enough in relationships?
You know what, Anton? I hate when you speak. I think, and I'm putting Andrea in the same category. I think both of y'all are different. Like y'all think about life from a very absolute aspect. And the thing is, everybody don't got money. And the thing is, it's one of those like it. I always said this before. It makes the pursuit of dating and being with somebody so transactional. The thing is, I want to say my initial lead-in was going to be the realest question would have been, if you date on potential, how long do you wait for somebody to pursue their dream on their potential? Because I think we all date people off what could be, right? The potential that we see in somebody. So I can't say that, when you see someone, you see a potential of what you could see as far as your future with this person, or you see something in them that resonates with you. So I can't sit up here and say you don't see no potential, right? It's very absolute. It's not. So the thing is, it's more so about how long, like we jokingly speaking, Tawana, we mentioned about the rapper and things like that. Like, hey, we all got dreams, right? So the thing is, it's more so I think people need to be mindful about how long am I willing to allow someone to say that, you know what, I'm cool with you living out your dream and this potential, but when is it actualized into becoming something concrete? The thing is, I think it's like you mentioned, Ashley, it's also the stage and where we're at in our lives. I think when you're in a certain age group, you do have that. We date different. Let's be honest. We date different. We have different value system versus in our 20s versus in our 30s. I think in our 30s, a little bit of what you're saying, Anton, you should be established. But I think you're speaking to people as if they don't have jobs at all. The part is that I think you're talking about as far as securing the bag. There are people that just will not make 100K, ever, but they are working, right? That's why we call them the working class. But this is why dating is so messed up, because now, unless I am able to achieve a certain dollar, we allow the dollar to define what type of person.
But here's the thing. Then you changing the narrative because you're not.
It's about potential, right? Because we talking about potential earnings, potential skill set. It's different types of potential. You're looking at it just from one aspect of potential.
No. You change
the
narrative
explain.
Of the question.
When you define potential, what aspects of potential is broad? Say it again.
The question is based off of potential, not based off of what your reality is. That's the question. It's dating based off of potential. Can you date based off of potential?
Well, if you want to just, because that makes it a now yes, no answer. So the thing is, it would be, yes, I do believe that you can't date someone off potential. It's more so about how long are you willing to allow to go yourself to be allowed to go through the dating phase. Because is this something that you see yourself going into the next level? So I think you can date someone off potential. We all have potential on what we foresee in ourselves and in the person that we date. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. That's the art of dating. We all date around because we do see potential in people that we want to date. It's something that resonates with us. So we can't sit up here and say, and like the fact that you up here talking about the like, well, people shouldn't date, that means like half the people shouldn't be dating right now, which you will probably agree that actually would be a good thing if people didn't date. But we're all human beings, bro. Everybody dates. We all have a sense of wanting to belong to someone. So I can't sit up here and say that, you know what, just because I haven't reached the potential of what somebody else deems as reaching that ceiling of potential, that level of judgment, I think that that's a poor place to start a relationship. But that's why certain people date certain type of people. We definitely have different views on how we enter relationships. Because now it's like, we're not even talking about whether we want to be with that person. The potential, yeah, but it's like we can't sit up here and act like the shit ain't organic, that we don't have vibes for people that we just want to be with them. You're saying like, well, yeah, but that ain't the point because they ain't got their shit together. And Define got their stuff together, Anton. So if they shouldn't be dating, then okay, what about people who are working, but they are working class citizens? Should they not date? If they
okay, so let me ask you a question. Let me ask you a question. Should Michelle Obama, let's just say hypothetically, her and Barack get divorced, should she date based off of the possibility that somebody else can meet her expectations, or should she find somebody that's more closely aligned with where she already is?
I think it depends on where Michelle was at in her life at that point.
No. I said now. Let's say her and Barack get divorced. Mm-hmm. Should she date based off of potential, or should she date based off of where she already is in her life? It's very clear.
Man, Michelle, like what, about 50? So I want to say it is very absolute. You are dating someone that is kind of more so a peer in your peer group. You know what I mean? But I feel like if you date younger, we date different type of people in our 20s. Because the thing is, you want to have someone that does have a car, does have a job, does have benefits. I'm not thinking about benefits when I'm in my 20s. So that's why I said this question is different based on what stage we are in our lives.
Yeah.
It really isn't, because dudes are in their 20s again.
You right.
Should not be they should not be leading.
You gotta forget you had all your shit together when you was 20. So the thing is, that's why
I was up.
I know you did. I didn't.
I
didn't.
I got to the bag. And here's the key, though.
Yeah, I didn't. So I don't speak to your type of people. I don't speak to.
I'm not here to validate anybody, though. I'm here to talk to
you.
And the key to this conversation is that hold on, stop.
Your truth.
Stop. No, the key to
your
the conversation is that if a young dude in his 20s see this, what do you want him to take from it? And I would say, don't listen to B Nix, because he's just trying to make you feel good about yourself. What you should be doing.
I didn't know that was a bad thing.
Stop. What you should be doing is doing the work, bro. Get to the bag, take care of your business, become the man that you're supposed to be, and understand that all the other stuff come along with it. There's never going to be a shortage of chicks. You don't have to put a time limit on yourself of whether or not you're going to meet the right one. You can be in a space to where you get to the thing that actually adds value to your life and become the best version of you, understanding that there's some woman that's going to come in and fill a specific type of role based off of where you see yourself going. Stop trying to push people into feeling good about themselves and get on the other side of being uncomfortable, because that's where the growth is. Stop listening to people that's trying to validate you and get to the bag, man. Stop listening to this stuff. That's what I want to do.
No, man, I don't even know how to respond to what you just said. Like, it's just different.
It's good advice to tell a young man, like, look, don't focus on girls, don't focus on trying to have relationships until you kind of get, until you're walking into your purpose. But the truth of the matter, though, is like, it's just not realistic. Like, you know, these young boys are, or young men in their early 20s, like they're not gonna not be out here with women. Like they're gonna be out here dating, and they ain't gonna be abstinent like most of them not. So they might not be trying to be in a serious relationship, but most 20-year-olds,
My young bulls is not dating.
are not.
None of my young bulls that I'm in towards dating. They out getting to the bag.
Okay,
And
that's
guess what?
good
And
for
guess
you and your
what?
crew,
And
Anton.
guess
But that's
what?
just one group of people
Guess
you're
what?
talking about.
Guess what? The greater they become, the higher the value of women that they attract. They not worried on trying to validate themselves.
You know,
and make them
this
feel
is
good
my
about
issue.
Hey,
themselves,
Ashley,
bro.
but I still think we still
Hey,
got to keep
Ashley,
preaching
I'm
it.
sorry. Go ahead. I
Yeah.
apologize. Go
I
ahead.
was just responding to Ashley. I think we still
I
got to
hate
keep
to
preaching
say
it,
it,
even though
but
most.
I agree with Anton.
Yeah, we know.
Of course you do.
But yeah, like
That's
I think
because
we got to keep.
because you awesome. That's because you awesome, baby girl.
I think
Ashley,
we just
go
have to
ahead.
keep preaching it though. We got to keep preaching it, Ashley. I mean,
I mean, I do think
even though like the young men are not doing it, hopefully some of them will grasp it. It's just like adults. Adults do the same thing. You can get them free game. You can have like 12, 13 people in one room and only like 2 people gonna do it. But you keep doing it. There's just 2 more people that aren't wised up. I'll take it.
yeah.
So I got to say this really quick. I've been an entrepreneur for over 10 years. And over the years, I've dated guys that wanted me to have jobs because I don't get a paycheck every Friday, every other week, or etc. They wanted me to, they wanted me to go to work. They want to call me on lunch break, XYZ. And I've always been able to do my own thing. So, if when I date, men are like, the men I've dated have wanted me to just be on a schedule.
What?
I'm not on a schedule. They want me to do what they wanted me to do. Stay in the house, go to work, 9 to 5, get a paycheck, have, I don't know how much people with jobs paid XYZ amount of money, that the way they know that I have this amount of money in my bank account every week that makes them comfortable so I can pay the bill on Friday when we go eat. Another story. B Nick. That was another story. But when men date me, you can't date the potential because I'm already potentially there. Like I'm already dope as hell. I already have, I'm already the shit. Even if I'm not where I'm going, I'm on the way. Now, when I date, I have to make sure another man is on the way too. Of course, I could date a man with a nice job at a factory, and he is, he got so much potential. But if we're 40 something years old, which I am, and he has potential to be on his way, that's not the man I'm gonna date because he really not for me. I'm tired of training these men. I'm tired of raising these men. I have a young son that's about to be 22. He's a fucking genius. I don't even have to raise him. So why I gotta raise a nigga that I'm fucking? I can't do it. Period.
I don't even know like the group of people y'all talking about. I mean, y'all just I get what you saying, Andrea,
What?
but to me, it's like y'all are shutting yourselves out from just like regular people. Like y'all are speaking to a specific group of people, which I understand they do exist, but I don't think that's a significant percent. It's like stuff like this is why people don't like dating because it removes the joy and the organic feeling of getting to know people. Because now it becomes like I'm just focusing on what you're able to bring. It becomes this transaction, this finance. Because the thing is, people assume that based on what you've done with your career, that defines what type of person you are as far as your personality, how you're able to have a conversation, all that. Like people lead with that. And that's the part I don't get it. Like it's not about the accolades and stuff, man. That's cool, but I'm not leading with that. And that's the part that makes dating so challenging because people feel like because I have these credentials, then this makes me the person you need to date, that I'm absolute. And the thing is, now becomes a challenge where it's hard to have a conversation because folks know everything already, right? Nobody doesn't want to feel like they're in a relationship where they're being told like, hey, well, you need to, do this, you need to do that. So I think we date differently. So I'm not saying it in a disrespectful way, but I think that y'all speaking to a certain population of people that is not the majority. That's all, both of y'all.
You laughing at that comment,
Girl.
Andrea?
There's levels to this, bro.
I think
right. We was raised different, bro.
Tawana.
Yes.
First of all, let me just say this. I'm a very submissive woman. I cook, I clean, I do what my man says.
I can tell.
But I don't have a man. Okay, the reason why I don't have a man is because even though I've been talking all this shit on this podcast, I don't date. I say to myself, all I do is work. JR, Lapeef, we don't know each other that well, but he knows. I do not date. All I do is work. I don't go out on dates. I don't go out for dinner. I don't do any of that. I don't have to. I'm a whole gourmet motherfucking chef in this bitch. I got a son that's about to be 22 years old. He's a genius. He's a motherfucking musician. He plays 22 instruments. He's listening right now. He know his mama a G. Period. You know what I'm saying?
Do you want to have a relationship though? Is that your goal one day? Do you want to be in a relationship?
I do want to have a relationship, but honestly, I am afraid. I'm afraid. Men scare me sometimes.
Why?
I've been abused. I used to bartend for like over 20 years. I've had a man bust my head. I've been domestically abused. I've been to jail from a man putting their hands on me and I wound up going to jail. So I'm really love and light and I talk a lot of shit, but I don't really be out here fucking and dating at all. I had me a pandemic partner. I've been knowing that man for 5-6 years. So it wasn't a new man I was fucking. That was like, let me finally get his nigga some pussy. Let me just finally do this. You know what I'm saying? So I do not go out with men that I don't know. I do not be outside and talk to men that I don't know. Like if I'm outside in the grocery store, I was at the grocery store today. A man was like, hey, I was buying food and liquor for tonight. So he was like, can I buy your drink next time? And he was walking up to me outside my car. I'm about to pull out on him because it's carjacks and all types of stuff. I got an old car. You can't carjack me. I don't want you to carjack me, my car, everything. But I'm literally afraid. Like I'm about to pull my gun out on this man. Like, can I buy you a drink next time? No. Most bitches would have been like, sure. No, I'm not for none of that. I was raised by my grandmother. I'm hella submissive, but you gotta be submissive to the right man. None of these men out here are my husband. I ain't got no husband. I'm not dating right now. I ain't got no man. I live alone. You know what I'm saying? So men always want you to be submissive. How can I be submissive to a man who don't even know how to be good to themselves? So you have to be good to yourself. I'm good to myself. You got to be good to yourself. You got mommy issues, daddy issues. You don't want to get therapy, but now you come into the relationship and you want me to fix you. Tired of raising these men. I'm fixing these men, and I want to say other words, but I'm being very nice. You know what I'm saying? I'm tired. I'm raising a whole adult son to be a man, a gentleman.
Well, I think that to men's point is that, you have already determined what you want in life, right? Like you already have got into a comfort zone where you're not willing to bend or be flexible or do these things. And that's what men are afraid of when women get to a certain age, is that there is a lot of,
Tawana, you there?
She froze, bro.
Yeah,
She was
did.
on it. She was on it, and you just gonna mess her up.
I ain't mess up.
Lapeef.
All right. I guess we're gonna go ahead and bring this to a close, and I appreciate you guys for sitting in, Ashley and Andrea, tonight.
Andrea, you look like you got something to say. Go on ahead, get it out off your chest.
What I want to say was, Ashley, girl, you are the bomb. You are such a mild mannered, but very outspoken, like beautiful person. You like totally. And B Nick, I love you for real. Like I love you, both of you guys' personality. Period. You know, I love it. You know,
hey, yeah, you definitely got an energy about you, Andrea.
Yeah. Love your time.
You bring out a different side of me, honestly. Usually I like being more chill, but I don't even know why I got loud like a while back. But you trigger me.
I don't care.
Yeah, you made me care. You made me care about raising my voice.
Yeah, B Nick, I haven't seen you get that angry or lost. This show kind of irritated you today. You were like,
no, it was enough with Anton, but then somebody that has similar mindset as him, I was like, oh man, too.
But see, let me say this though. I don't agree with that. I don't think that they have similar mindset because her mindset is totally different from what Anton. He is like more traditional. His values are more set. She's outspoken and vocal, but for them, they do not have similar mindsets. I disagree completely. I think that she does understand him and agree with him in a lot of cases, but even when she speaks about her position, it's totally separate from what he's saying.
Okay. You know what?
You're right.
Good point. I agree with that.
I hate when y'all be comparing people that ain't compared. Like y'all always try to compare somebody to Anton. He got his own mind, and it is very different from a lot of people's views. Not because he's a bad person, because he's just very traditional. And he grew up in an environment where it was customary to be married. It was customary to have a head of household in the house. Like you can't help but think that way when that is what his grandfather, his father, all of his predecessors, they've all been married and they all had this relationship. So of course his experience is going to represent that. Of course his views and his opinions are going to represent that. Me and B Nick sound like we came from, both from broken homes, maybe from different type of environments, and we've seen a variety of different people. So my experiences is going to be based on that. In my perspective, in my view, and high value men represent 3% of the population. So we talking to a small segment of people. I mean, most men are like B Nicks. Most men are like that. That's who he represents. The average man. Anton does not represent the average man. Anton represents a small segment of men, and I don't even know if that's what he represents. That's what he says on the show. I don't know that for sure. I'm just saying. I don't know him.
Being the devil. He loves it. That's what he lives. That's his space that he lives in. Totally.
Yeah, exactly. So that's how I feel about it. I mean, we all can represent what we
at the beginning of the show.
What'd you say, Ashley?
He did preface that at the beginning of the show. I think he does sometimes say things just to kind of be contrary. Sometimes.
He's a contrarian. And I tell people that all the time. Stop even. He's the contrarian. Andrea, you're talking from a real life perspective. This is what you do. You are not trying to, he's a contrarian. That's what it is. Yeah.
He would cut all of us out if he was on here right now.
He would stop us. He would stop us. We wouldn't even be able to get this conversation out. I hope he watches it back and be like,
yeah, I almost want to call Anton. I'm not done with him. It's like it's like one more sparring match before we wrap up. I feel a little.
It's a gunshot or those slaps, JR? I'm confused. Which one is it?
Gunshots.
Okay, we were talking about the gunshots earlier.
Shots fired.
Shots fired. I love it.
I don't care.
It's good to have different women and different perspectives, right? I mean, Andrea, you just at a point in your life where it's like you don't care about being judged.
I mean, Andrea, what you articulate was kind of like what I think we all were talking about when you're at a different stage of your life, you date different. It's like, you absolutely know what you expect out of someone. So it's nothing wrong. That's great to know, because a lot of people still are trying to, it's almost like we know what we don't want, but we still trying to figure out what we do want.
Right.
You sound like you know exactly what you do want. It's easy to say what I don't want.
She's still looking. She's still searching.
But I mean, think about it. It's part of the journey, though. Like, I know it's on some positivity shit, but the thing is, I feel like in life is a journey. It's about going down the path and stuff, and this is all necessary.
And B-Nix, I was talking to one of my good girlfriends this morning, and some years ago, somebody asked me to write down what you are typically looking for, and I've never done that. I don't know what I'm looking for in a partner. I don't know what I'm looking for in a man, but I do know what I'm not looking for. But I haven't put it out. But I haven't put it out there because I've been so busy working hard that I really haven't been, especially since I had a kid so young.
Well, it's not a priority. It's not a
priority.
Mm-hmm. If it's a priority for you, you will put more focus into it, right? Because then that's your goal and that's what you want to do. But right now it's not a goal. So you probably won't, I mean, but it's more important to focus on the things that you do need in a partner versus the things you don't need, because that list can get out of hand and really get real critical. But the things that
I'm scared to make the list. That's why I haven't made it. I'm scared to make the list. I don't want to and I know things about me that men definitely don't dig. I'm hella outspoken, but I do not argue with a man. Men I dated know that I'm not gonna argue with them. I mean, I may say my piece, and I will talk like we're on this podcast. I'm gonna talk and say what I gotta say. But if I was talking to my man, I'm gonna sit there and be silent, and all I'm gonna do is drink my cocktail and go out and do hood rush with my friends. He gonna really hate that more. He gonna be like, this bitch, I'd rather her argue with me. Some people really like to argue. Some people like to be confrontational. Some people like to, and I really can't do it. All I want to do is cook,
feminine energy right there.
Fuck, make money.
Not argue with nobody.
Listen. Conflict is okay. What I'm more wondering, why do you?
Okay?
Why does she avoid conflict? I think conflict is natural, is normal, and I don't think that it's necessarily a bad thing. And I do think you have to.
It's necessary.
It's necessary, and I think you have to know how to constructively address conflict.
But
and if you don't know how,
I'm scared.
But Andrea, being dismissive is not addressing conflict. So when your man talking, you just drinking your wine and ignoring him. That is not.
That's like
that'll get you. Like me, if my man do that to me, like it's gonna be some fire under this. Like I'm gonna be I feel disrespected. So I do think that
okay.
I think it's good for you to learn how to address conflict in a healthy way. And I think maybe you're afraid to address it because you have had so many negative experiences, but there is healthy ways to deal with conflict. And avoiding it is not, to me, the best thing. That's just, my two cents.
Yeah, and
that this week, you are so right. And I said I was going to work on that. I avoid conflict with friends, family, lovers. I just avoid conflict. They can say whatever they want to say, and I'd be like, you know what? Because I used to just go crazy and be like, and now I just be like,
more chill.
Well, I don't know. Ashley, I think you had picked up on when we was talking earlier about the accountability thing. That was the part I interpret about like calling someone out. That the thing is like, hey, if you are just not responding, it's like, hey, we gotta talk through this. So I'm not saying that the accountability piece is always gotta be something negative. It's essential to us to be able to grow. If nobody's saying anything, we don't grow in a relationship, and people continue to go on this divergent path. If folks can't come together and hash it out and talk through it, but it has to be both ways. Like, if a man can do it, a woman should be able to go back and forth. Like, hey, I'm gonna call you on some shit too. So maybe I misinterpreted the whole accountability thing, but for me, it was the accountability is the conversation, being present, and being able to speak out about shit that I just ain't feeling.
What you
What
say,
should we do,
Andrea?
Ashley?
Well,
What
I
should
heard
we do, Ashley? What should we do?
Well,
Like,
I'm
what
all for
advice?
I'm all for communicating. Like I think conflict is inevitable and relationships do grow out of conflict, but I wouldn't say it's necessary, but it's inevitable. And it's gonna happen. So you gotta know how to address it. You gotta know how to speak your piece, but also be able to listen. And I think that's where a lot of people struggle with. And I think that when you are like, not everything needs to be discussed. Sometimes, like, we need to kind of like take it in stride because you can't make an issue about every little thing. But there are things that you're going to have to talk about, like those rough, hard conversations. You're going to have to just kind of stick it out. And really, if you're with somebody that really cares about you and about the relationship, then they're going to want to communicate, and they're going to want to hear you out as well as speak their piece. So it's like, I get what you're saying. You were trying to say like, it's not like you like to be combative, but I don't think, and you don't want to be combative, but you do have to be open to communicating and not being like, don't keep what bothers you in, because eventually it's going to manifest. Like, you know what I mean? It's going to manifest and it's going to be worse. So I think sometimes people communicate by not communicating, because when you don't communicate at all, like that sends messages that you don't care, that you've checked out, or
and we assume that people know what you're thinking. That is not always the case. But we assume just because we with this person, like, well, Andrea, you know how I am. It's like, in this situation, I really don't know what you're thinking.
Yeah.
I mean, just name a relationship in your life where you haven't had to resolve conflict. Like my mother, my kids, my family. There is no relationship where I have not had conflict that I've had to resolve. And there's respectful ways to do it, and there's disrespectful ways. I think when we learn how to effectively resolve conflict, then you're not afraid to address it. It's like, okay, I know how to deal with conflict. It's fine. But people only run from it when they don't know. Like when they don't have like a leveler. They just go from one level to the next. It's like, I don't have an in between. I don't know how to get from this. That's when I notice that people say, I can't deal with conflict at all, because like, I'm gonna kill her. Like, wait, we jump from this to this,
Well, so, y'all don't send me no invoice for this counseling session. Thank you.
I was already having my assistant type it up already.
Yeah. I already know. I'm not going to email.
That's funny. Well, Jay, I was trying to say and make a point about the podcast.
Oh no, I was just saying Nick is making a point, and I think we've had people on the show as well as conversations between us about hearing the other side, hearing different perspectives. We have to be able to have those tough conversations, whether we like it or not, in relationships, podcasts, just in general, in order for us to get a different perspective to be able to grow. You might not want to hear something, but you might hear a small piece of that conversation that you can take with you and actually apply it to your life. So I think you made a good point, but we also got to practice and we got to utilize that point with ourselves as well, because we use it when we want to use it, just like we use it now. But then it's times where even on here we be like, I'm not trying to hear that.
Well, I think that y'all have the same perspective, and what people like a lot of times the men on the show, y'all have the same perspective, and then if a woman don't listen to that, then you say we're not open to different perspectives. But that's not true. It's just that it's always a one-sided conversation. All of our conversations was like, why do men think this? Why are men blah blah blah? Nobody asked how women felt or the other side. So I don't know if that's the same. I don't know if we can.
No, we ask different questions.
Yeah, we ask different questions.
Like, what was the other one? Oh, why are women toxic?
Why did so? I hope y'all heard Danielle. I hope y'all heard Danielle last week say that y'all conversations are very centered on men, and that I rarely get support in these conversations. I really hope y'all, and I hope that y'all can understand.
I don't get no support in these conversations either.
Yes, you do. Yes, you do.
Hey, Andrea,
yes,
I want to.
From who?
Andrea,
With the audience?
And us and me. Sometimes I support you all the time.
Sometimes
Not,
so
not
I
my
have
other
your back.
counterpart that's
I
missing
always
in
have
action
your,
right there.
even if I don't agree with you, I have your back. I rarely not support you. I mean, I might say, well, I have a different perspective, but I rarely not support you. So
Okay, I agree. I support you too.
And Andre, I was kind of thinking this, and somebody actually posted it, but it says Andrea needs therapy before she gets into another relationship. I don't think it's not funny, but this is like a real, like this is a real, no, well,
Yeah,
this is
bring
like a
it to
real life situation.
you
Well,
on your
I
own
was
with
just,
that one, man.
no, well,
I
I was just
disagree.
wondering. I was just wondering, like, have you had therapy?
Wow, we
before?
really go. Hey, Andrea, you ain't got to answer that.
No, I don't
I
think
can
it's a
answer it.
disrespectful
It's
question. Is
okay.
it?
Well,
Is it?
I'll say this. One, I do go to therapy. Two, a lot of men that I've dealt with, or a lot of men that try to deal with me, they are hella toxic themselves. I'm not
I agree.
toxic, but they're hella toxic, and they try to put their toxicity
Mm.
on me. So whoever that was who said that, I'm sure they're an angry bird, and everybody would know that via
take it
social
from me.
media.
Not listen
Well,
to
like I was just
other people's opinion.
like I was just posting it because I feel like we all need therapy. I even tell my
Yeah,
son,
therapy is very
and
important.
right, and
I
even
go to therapy,
myself,
my son go to therapy,
and
my sister go
so
to therapy, my family go to therapy. We've
right,
been doing it
right.
since
Like
forever.
it doesn't mean that you have a
So
problem, but a lot of us go through some experiences that we can't
yeah,
handle on ourselves,
yeah,
or we may not realize the energy that we're putting out there. I've had relationships, even myself, where I felt like I had to sit back and I had to think about the things that I was doing, how I was treating people, some of the wrongdoings that I was doing. So when I put that up there, I wasn't trying to be disrespectful or coming at you,
yeah.
but I think that it can bring value to people. The fact that you're being vulnerable about a lot of situations in your life,
Of
I
course.
appreciate you, for actually doing that on this platform. But upon the flip side,
Me too.
I think we do have to ask ourselves that question: like, are we healed? Are we entering these
And
relationships
and
with
let me tell you,
toxic?
I
Are
have
we insecure about a lot of situations in our life that we
yeah.
haven't tackled, and we bringing it and we hurting people more than we are helping and bringing value to these relationships?
You know, it's so much that went on in my life that I do not talk about. That unless you're my close friend, that you may not know. You know, so when being public as we are hella transparent on this podcast. So we give people the opportunity to sit up here and say what they want to say about us. We can't say anything back, anything like that. I don't, man. I know it's not no shade. It's cool. No hard feelings, you know. Um, but it's like we're giving ourselves the opportunity to be transparent, right? I'm being hella transparent. I'm like 50% a comedian. I'm a media personality. So I am not sitting up here just talking, I'm not speaking publicly correct. I'm being a real motherfucker. I'm a real bitch
What?
from the hundreds. You know what I'm saying? I'm speaking real. So of course people are gonna say, oh my goodness, she needs therapy. Oh my God. Hell, do you go to therapy? We all should, you know.
No one should tell
Got
another
him.
person.
Got him.
I don't think a person should tell you that you need therapy. I think, especially when I only met you today and I've only known you for a segment of time, like I just can't make that.
2 hours of
I'm not a
time
knowledgeable
on a
professional.
podcast.
Now, B Nix may be able to say that because he is a knowledgeable professional. Like he could give you an expert opinion about, hey, I really think you need this. But I just feel like, like you said, we open ourselves up, so we are attacked a lot, and sometimes I honestly, my first instinct is to fight back. But that's the first
You gotten
instinct.
better.
I want to say something.
You've improved.
Tawana, I don't fight back no more. I don't have it in me to fight back no more.
I'm not there yet. I've been working on it. I'm not Michelle
I
Obama
went to
yet.
jail for a minute, few days is a minute. I don't fight back no more.
Well, I don't physically fight now. What I'm saying is, we might.
My mother runs a homeless shelter. She works in social services. My mother was an addict for almost. She's been clean for like 16, 17 years. People don't know my motherfucking history, my story. My son about to be 22. They don't know his story. They don't know my story. I just look like this. I'm fan. I know I'm bald headed and I'm fan. I just look like this. Of course, it's like, oh, she cute. She this. She that. She needs therapy. She ain't got no man.
Well,
I don't give up. Fuck what
the fact that you're able to share your story and that you're so open and that you're so vocal about it, like a lot of people can't even really come to grips with the truth about their life and really can't even tell you their story that candidly. So to me, that shows a lot of healing and a lot of power because you're not even afraid to give us your truth. And there's nothing wrong with that. You know, some people are afraid to give their truth and afraid to reveal their side of them. And it ain't no shame in your game. And I love that about it.
I'm ready. I can take it all. I'm ready. No problem. I'm excited to be on the show today. I love conversing with people. I love conversing with you guys. You know, I don't care if they say I need therapy. I'm in the street. I literally will meet a man and they'd be like, hey, I want to holler at you. Are you single? You ain't got a man? What's wrong with you? You about to be 43, you ain't got a man? What's wrong with you?
What's wrong with you?
That sounds like one of our topics from a
couple
you know what?
Ago. You know what, Andrea? Last week I was a bitch that couldn't have no man and didn't know how to get no man and this, that, and I had to flash my ring because they kept going in. I'm like, wait a minute now. I think you saw that, but I'm telling you, like people say things. Sometimes they just say things out of anger or deflection. I don't know what it is, but you know, don't even. We can even give it no energy.
And I don't want none of their ass. They be falling from the sky, and I'm just sitting there. I don't want none of their ass. I'm sorry.
We still like encourage therapy,
because I don't want none of their ass. But that's
I want to ask a question.
Come from a positive perspective, right? Come from a place of love, not a place of she's sharing too much. You need some therapy, bro. Like no. That's not the place I'm coming from. When I suggest that, I'm coming from a place of concern and love for someone, and not a place of, you know, feeling like you share too much and maybe you need you got some issues. No, I don't believe in that. That's my problem. Even if you didn't mean your intention, you need to rethink that for the next time you suggest that to somebody, in my opinion.
I want to ask this question, either just make a statement. Like I've been in situations where I might not be labeled a professional to give advice on something, but I don't feel like you have to be a professional to be knowledgeable about what's happening in front of you. If it's common sense, or if you may sense something, you may not have gone to school or did the research and studies in order to give advice. But often when you try to tell somebody something, the first thing they say is that, well, I didn't ask for your opinion. So when I asked that question earlier about women, like who holds women accountable, like when they do something wrong, it was kind of stemming from their energy. Like, how can you tell somebody, particularly like a woman, something when they don't want to hear from anybody? So now they're walking around here with that toxic behavior, if we want to put a label on it, and not being able to accept it, not even from a professional. It's like, who can stop these women being out here like that?
Like what? What are they doing?
Just like a woman. I give a small example. Like a woman can get loud, and like it'll be okay. Like you can have a conversation. Like they don't want you to get loud, but then they get loud, and then like immediately it's like, well, I didn't ask for your opinion. I didn't ask for your opinion from the start. And it's like, okay, well, why are you yelling? Why are we at this point? And then, but they like to put it down, so you can't really hold them accountable for what they're doing wrong, because they always take it back to I didn't ask for your opinion in the first place, and that's just something that's just on a smaller scale. But I do feel like, and there are some men like that, but again, like the woman, to me, I've seen a lot of women be able to call men out on their shit, or if they send something wrong with something they don't like, they speak up on it. Men do speak up on it, but then you have some women that just attack automatically. Like you can't have a conversation with them because they feel like they're never wrong.
You have to remember that people need a certain level of respect for you to take opinion from you. So, for instance, if I have an Uncle Dave, if he come into the room, everybody's gonna be silent because we all respect Dave, and we all know don't open your mouth when he's speaking. That's his demeanor. That's the respect he's earned. And I think that you have to know. I have friends that respect my opinion and respect me and want to know my opinion about things. And I have friends who told me that they don't want my opinion, and they don't want to hear that. I've recently had a family member who told me that, like, look, I feel like you're too judgmental, and I don't like the way you give me your opinion about certain things. So you have to reserve that. So I think that you have to know your position and place with people. And I know we don't care to have that, but you just can't give your opinion to everybody because it could not be warranted. And you could not be in a position where that person respects you enough to accept that opinion from you. And I know in our group, we're very vocal and everybody gives their opinions to everybody. And it's like, oh, you could just tell anybody on the street what they think, but that's not the real world. It's like our little small segment of our group. I think that you do have to determine like the time or place, right? Sometimes addressing a person right when they're angry and it's escalated is not the best thing. But calling them the next day and being like, hey, you know what, yesterday, the way you acted, and doing it privately versus in a group setting. Like, it's so many things that could possibly be the issue. I just think maybe it's the approach and not necessarily that you're trying
I
to
think
tell
it's maturity too.
Well, at least you called
about
him
the
as
same thing.
opposed
I
to
don't
put
feel
it
like
in
we
the
have
group setting.
I feel
So
like we have to baby people when we tell them things. Like I understand about the whole thing about like delivery, but they really don't want to hear it. It don't matter how you say it. That's just something to me. That's just something that they say. Oh, I just didn't like how you said it to me, even though they know it's the reality. To me, I just think that they don't want to hear it.
Well, I don't know. I think that folks need to do better on who they choose to date. I think that if you with somebody that constantly talks to you like that and belittles you, then I think, and then you don't feel comfortable to push back and actually say like, "Hey,
I
I'm
wasn't
not
even talking
feeling
about
the
date.
way
It could
that
be.
you're
I'm
delivering
just
it."
talking about
Then
friends too. It don't have to be like a relationship. I
well,
just
I
feel
don't know.
like
I don't want to
you
talk about
can't
this
tell.
like this is like just all women do this. You know what I mean?
I'm not saying all women do, but I think it is a issue, is a problem. Just
Well,
like
if it's a problem,
just like
then
it's a lot of
who
men.
call like
Just like it's a lot of
accountability, right?
men that
Who
don't know how to
says anything
communicate.
in return? That's the part that I
You said
just
what?
can't
What you say?
stand by idle and just not say anything. So I can't say that there are men up here who are not saying anything back because a lot of times this is mature. We talked about potential earlier. There's also when you first asked that question about potential, it's a potential of how mature this person is. Andrea, you talked about it, jokingly speaking about these boys, that you were talking about as far as like trying to date. Like a lot of this is just a mindset. It's like the people really have the potential to grow. And that's the part where it really goes both ways. I know we're talking about women being immature, but it's like, why engage in an immature situation? If you know this person is
I don't
not
agree,
up to
Nick.
par.
Like, I don't agree, and I'm gonna tell you why I don't agree. You said that if you're not doing it, then that means that you're not mature. But what if they don't know how? They was never taught how to do it. So, for instance, when it comes to men knowing how to communicate, I was always mature, but I learned at a later age on the importance of being able to talk to people, the right way, being transparent. I didn't even know what transparent really meant in a relationship until about maybe like 3 years later. I kept hearing that word over and over again as I got older about how important it is to be transparent, about how important it is to say exactly what it is that you want, not to waste women's time. You know, these are things
To the
that I learned.
person that you need to say it to,
Hmm?
not to social media,
Yeah, who's the
not
audience?
to group text, not to other people, to the person you need to say it to. But I'm listening.
Can I chime in?
Go ahead.
So, I mean, I think I agree with what I think Tawana was getting at, was that, like, you know, it's a relationship is important. Like, people listen to people who they trust and who they respect. So I think that's a big component of it. Are there women out here who just, you can't tell them nothing? Like, yeah, I'm sure there are, but I can only go from my own experiences. There are women who listen to me because they know that I'm coming from a good place and that I'm going to be real with them and that I'm going to respect them. So there's like a respect and there's a trust there. So I think that, like, if you're talking about social media and, you know, what men say about women on social media, that's just never going to end up how you want it to end up, because you're talking about generalizations.
Generalizations, yeah.
Yeah. So it's like, you know, you can't expect some random person on the internet to validate what you're saying based off of your experiences with women, because maybe she doesn't meet that, you know, like, you know, but in real life, like, I wouldn't doubt that there are women out there who just don't want to hear it. Like, you know, I know that there are, but it does come down to relationship. And I think sometimes women are a little too emotional, like, when they hear some feedback. So I will say that, like, they can be a little emotional, because sometimes, like, what I notice is you can hear feedback, and I used to do this, and I would take the feedback, but I always wanted the person that was giving me the feedback to understand why I did what I did. But at the end of the day, it's like, it really doesn't even matter why you did what you did. But I think sometimes women, like, when they are hearing feedback, you know, they're just thinking like, well, he doesn't understand where I was coming from. And so it's like from an emotional place. So I mean, I'm not trying to negate what you're saying. Like, yeah, there are women who don't take accountability for their actions. But what I say is life makes you accountable. Like, above anything else, life makes you accountable. I just think a lot of men spend a lot of their time trying to prove to women why they need to be accountable for this and that. And it's like, okay, you on social media, like, you can't hold nobody accountable for nothing with your comments. Like,
Yeah, no, I agree.
Like, life holds people accountable. Now, whether or not they want to, you know, come fess up to you, or that's like, you know, like, that's, they don't have to do that, you know. But if they do it in their own personal relationship, it's because they probably respect you and trust you.
Sure, women take accountability. They hard on themselves. Women, I don't even know what he's talking about. I just see so many women that can critique. They can tell you every last thing that's wrong with them, what they do wrong in the relationship, how they are, what they
don't do that with people that they don't trust or respect.
Well, I mean, I think we all do that. Like, it's a respect thing. Because even with me getting to know you, Ashley and Andrea, like, just off the strength of how y'all present it, it's like, it's a respect, you know? So the thing is one of those, like, some people, you got to still earn respect. Respect isn't just given. And I think in most cases, for me, it is about your level of maturity. If you're not at this level where I feel we can have a level set conversation, hey, I am going to treat you differently. But JR mentioned something a little bit earlier before he, you know, muted his camera. It's one of those, like, as a man, what do you say? I think there's an aspect of men that also like, man, Andrea, wow, I ain't even trying to go there tonight. I ain't going to say nothing. I'm going to just let her say whatever she got to say, and I'm going to just play video game. I'm going to go out with my guys or something. And that's how we deal, because men, and Tawana, we talked about this months ago when we first started doing this show, where it's like, hey, it's an aspect where men have to also get into the comfortability of truly articulating what the issue is without, like, being aggressive about it, without the yelling. Because when folks yell, nobody hears it anyway. But it's like, if something bothers, I think dudes you just eat it, right? Because in our society, like, I know if Anton was on the show, he would say there's clubs and groups that men can go to talk about stuff, but We don't. Like, we talk about just sports, women, cars, the general information. The thing is, men, at least the men that I know, we don't really we come together, but it takes a very trusting man for me to say, like, hey, I got some shit going on. Like you mentioned, Andrew, some toxic shit, right? So the thing is, men, we don't have that. It's not culturally still acceptable for men to just openly talk about shit that's going on. You know, like, hey, it's just we just talk to, like, you just deal with it. You man up, right? That is still passed forward. So
Right.
I mean, shit, you know how much shit the men are just carrying, like our own baggage, but because men aren't viewed as having baggage, it never comes up because, you know, that's just how men are, you know. So you just deal with shit. And the thing is, we see it with old heads and with young heads. Folks are acting out because of the fact that, like, you got all this shit going on. Like, I give an example. My not to make it like sad or anything, but I'm doing the show. I'm working. You know, my mom got her issue. My aunt passed away. I'm actually about to hop on the road in the morning to go down to Mobile, go to the funeral, come back, then go to work by Monday. Because the thing is like, I'm just looking at, like, the shit just got to get done, right?
Right.
I talked to JR early. I didn't mention it to him because men just don't really talk about shit that's bothering them unless it's like dire, unless shit is already fucking broken. Then now it's like, dude, like, let me tell you what happened. Like, we always tell our guys after the fact, after some bullshit went down. As far as the lead up, and I don't know if I'm speaking for all men, but at least the men that I know, is like, it's not the whole socially acceptable thing to really talk about what's bothering us, man. So the thing is, I think we carry that in relationship. I joked about, like, men are usually chill, laid back, but, you know, being chill and laid back still is not articulating what the fuck is going on in your world. You know what I mean? Like, I'm not saying that women don't have it any different than us, but I think that women are cool with talking and expressing about what's going on. For men, you talk the man up and you deal with it. That's what it takes to be a man, right? That's how we define it as. But at the same time, men are killing themselves too, mentally killing themselves, because it's like, it's so much shit. So the trauma, right? That's the actual term we should say, like, the trauma that men are dealing with that is not discussed, the untold story, you know? And that's why we see men acting out, acting crazy, wow, or going to, like, other alternatives to deal with shit. So
Right.
I'm not saying women don't do that too, but just speaking from a man's perspective, like, hey man, this is life. Ashley, you mentioned this, just dealing with life. This shit ain't easy. You know, whatever Anton said, even though he's not here, all this shit, life is like this journey. This is not an easy journey. This is not a cakewalk. This is truly like a journey of ups and downs, but you try to pick yourself back up. But if you don't talk about it, going back to communication, right? It makes it challenging, you know, and we bring all that shit into a relationship because they haven't been checked. So going back to accountability, hey, it's not even about just like, you know, hey, you did this. It's like, shit, I just need you to talk through to fucking help me. But I gotta respect you for you to think that I'm on your level in order for us to be able to help each other. If I don't respect you, or even like Anton and Andrea, you mentioned folks ain't got their shit together, like, you can't even help me. Like, I don't even need to be discussed. You're not even worthy of me sharing my story with you. You know what I'm saying? So there is a level of validity of like, hey, you know, you almost what Anton said, you dating outside your weight class. It's like we all try to date somebody that's a peer because I also need you to be my better half. That's why folks get married, to support that person.
I'm more aligned with what Anton said as far as like, you can't hold anybody accountable. Like he said, what you gonna do? Beat them if they don't do what you like? What's the consequence? I agree with him. I think that the problem.
Maybe I shouldn't have said accountability. I think that's why I keep going wrong.
I
don't mean it that way.
I understand, but the problem is the problem, not the person. And I think that's why I struggle with what JR is saying. It's like, you always want to hold that person accountable, but maybe it's just whatever y'all going through that's the problem, not necessarily what I'm doing wrong or what the other person is doing wrong. And we tend to always attack the other person. And I think men are very good at doing that. They be like, but if you wouldn't do this, then you would. No, problem.
That's wrong. No, that's wrong. If you're talking like that, that's wrong.
The problem is the problem, not the woman or the man or the person. That's not the problem. So whatever we went through, like, let's talk about that and let's just discuss that. Let's stay on task. You don't always have to turn it around to how this woman was acting and why she did this and why she did that. So what? This is the
Well, like,
woman
I'm gonna give
you
you like a
chose to
little
be with.
background. I'm gonna give you like a little
I
background.
think that's why
behind
we
it.
have issues, though.
Okay, I'm gonna give you like a little background behind it. So if you're having for example, you're having a conversation, right? I always like to say it's a conversation, but I do think that when somebody labels it an argument, then now the argument, like, it's at the forefront. If you say I'm not trying to argue with you as your support, to me that's weak. We're having a conversation. As far as I'm concerned, we're having a conversation to start off with. So let's have this conversation. But if you don't have any support to support what you're saying, then you're wrong, because I have no problem listening to you. And if you tell me something that makes better sense as to why this happened or why this is happening, then it's like, okay, I see your point. Then I was wrong. But if you don't have, if you starting to yell, or I didn't ask for your opinion, and you don't have any support, then to me it's just kind of like, now it's an argument. It's an argument in your eyes, but I'm still keeping the same tone. I'm not about to argue with you, but now you elevated your voice, and now you want to say because this, and then you want to bring up everything in the past. You know, do you always do this? You always say. We're not getting nowhere. Of course. Now it's an argument in your eyes, and then I can't even have a conversation with you. And I think you guys brought up, well, maybe bring it up the next day. Bring up the next day. It's still gonna happen.
But you're not talking. Are you staying on the issue? Are you all staying on the topic? So whatever the problem is, are you staying focused on that?
Yeah, like
or are you continuing
okay.
to talk about each other and what each other's doing wrong?
I stay on topic, but the thing about it is that to me it has to get hashed out. There has to be some type of talk in order to try to figure it out. Otherwise, to me, it's not gonna ever get figured out. I mean, some things you can let go, but it's a lot of times that, like, I bite my tongue. And I'm not just talking about just recently, but I'm just saying, like, throughout the relationships that I've had, I've always bit my tongue. And then sometimes when if I do go off, it's because I've been holding that shit in. Like, I can't take this shit no more.
That's not fair to her.
You know.
Well, yeah, that's what I was saying about,
but
like,
that's something that I said that I learned when I was younger. I didn't know how to bring it up. But even as I'm older, like, you can say something and then sometimes it's just not good enough, or sometimes they don't want to hear it, or they're still going to interpret their own way. Or if you do bring it up, it's an issue. So it's kind of like, you know, what do you do if you can't have a conversation with somebody, or they have a problem listening to respond all the time? Then they need some help, because the relationship is not going to work. It's like, you want me to speak up on things, then when I do speak up on things, you're cutting me off. You don't know how to listen. Or it's a whole nother conversation. Always a but or an and. Why does it always have to be a but or an and? I can't stand it. Why can't it just be like, okay, I see? It's always you can see the B. But at that moment, I'm done.
I
don't know what woman. Go ahead.
I have dated guys in the past, a couple, and I felt that their love language was arguing. Like, if they argue with me and I argue back, that was love. Like, that was love. And I'm like, this is not love. Like, I can't, like, if it's a sixth love language and it was arguing, it was love. I can't do it. I've dated a few men like that. I cannot do it. That does not work for me. Period. So I'm a really love and light person. Like, I wake up in the morning. If you see right here, you know, my wall, it says good morning, you know, all my affirmations, XYZ. I cannot wake up, because I told you I'm in my bedroom. I cannot wake up in the morning and argue with someone. I go to bed, argue with a man. I just do it. So I've dated men and their love language was arguing. And the whole time I'm looking at them like this. So I can understand communication, but I can understand arguing. I just can't. I can't do it.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I used to argue, but I think
I
that
can tell. We all can tell. We know.
I don't now. It's just whatever. I don't
But
know. I mean,
you've been with your wife so long. I mean, it's probably get to a point where it's like,
well, yeah, that's why I was almost gonna
You be looking at him like,
Well, it's one of those like
you be like, we still arguing? Like,
we
it's
don't argue just
we
because
still
like when you
arguing.
with some like I almost feel like Andrea, like you saying I told myself I need to be in the parking lot. Maybe on this one in the parking lot, just because like I've grown and matured and I understand shit better than the way I used to try to articulate shit back then.
Yeah.
But when I was in my 20s, I didn't know no better. So that's the part that I still feel like some people still don't know any better on how to express themselves.
I mean, I just think that we don't always it's just impossible to stay focused on the actual problem that you experience in your relationship and whatever that could be. It could be communication. I don't like this communication, or we communicated. We can't just stay on why we are having an issue about this particular conversation. We have to go into, well, the previous 5 times you did the same thing, and this is what happened. And you always, and see, when you start name calling and doing that, you're not going to resolve. So what's
also just like that, Tawana? You like when you start arguing, then you bring up stuff from the past, from like months back that didn't get addressed, and then you bring an onslaught of all that old stuff on top of this one situation. It's like that's unfair too. If this is like going back to root causes, right? Talk about the issue at hand. Don't bring up some shit.
Let's just talk about this.
Years back.
Deal with this issue, this problem, and can we tackle this and move on? Why do y'all that like now you getting into a relationship that is not going to end well because y'all can't just get through one particular problem? It's like y'all got to continue to bring up all these issues you experienced in your past. You're never gonna heal. I think to me it's whatever the goal is for your relationship. What's your goal? Do y'all still want to stay together, or are y'all on the fence? Because if the goal is to stay together, then we just got to stay on this topic and resolve it. But if the goal is like, I don't know, maybe I'll leave you for real, like maybe this is the end, then that's a different conversation. And I mean, I honestly feel like holding someone accountable is not the right approach. That's just my opinion. If you're going into the relationship or going into the argument trying to hold that other person accountable and trying to make that other person feel like I need you to know what you did wrong, then you already lost. Because there is no way a person's gonna feel that way. You always have a strong opinion about how you personally feel. So you're trying to convince somebody to feel the way you think they should feel. And that's probably why JR have these experiences, because you cannot convince somebody to feel the way you feel. You have to go into it coming to a compromise about whatever the problem is that you all are having, and then both people feeling like you both were heard and you get something out of the deal. Like I don't see that approach helping. Oh, you want to hold me accountable so I can say I'm sorry. Like it's always a win-lose with men. I feel like with men, y'all think of it like sports. Like who gonna win this game or who gonna lose this game?
That's all it's about. Everything is about winning and losing.
It's not about winning.
Life is about winning and losing.
No, it's not.
It is wins and losses. That's it.
Because y'all go into it with
no everything.
That's
life
how you
is
think.
About wins and losses.
Yeah. That's how y'all think. And so every relationship, every conversation is like, all right, who won this? All right, who got to say they sorry? All right, so who I'm holding accountable?
Like women are competitive
is the wrong approach. That's the wrong approach. I think most women don't think like that, and I think men. That's what y'all struggle with. Y'all think that that's what we go into the relationship.
No,
we don't go into it.
That's just how men are grown. Life is about wins and losses.
We don't care about that. We more so just care about, did you really understand where I was coming from? Like, do you really understand me? Have you listened to me? Like, are you genuinely going to take what I say into consideration? It's not about did we win or did we lose this argument. It's more like, did I really make you understand my perspective? Even if you disagree, do you really understand me?
It depends on what stage of your life you had to receive that type of message. I get what you're saying, Tawana, but I mean, men and women too, everybody go through their development. I admit, I still look at things about wins and losses, but I do understand what you're saying. So it's about being neutral, not neutral, but not winning or losing. It's about the root cause. But it's a like even with JR, me and him compete against each other all the time over nothing.
See, men, you all are naturally competitive. And that's what makes you guys go into relationships with that same thought process. And your woman is your partner.
Right.
She's your teammate. You're not competing.
Whatever. You trying to get me off topic too. Because the thing is, we weren't even talking about, I don't even know why we started talking about competition, but you triggered me with that.
I do like the message about like when you're in a relationship, not trying to fight the other person. Like people do that, you know, and so it's like try to see it as, oh, here's a problem in the relationship. You know, what can we do to, you know, make this not be a problem anymore? But, you know, a lot of people do get into that, like, no, you was wrong. You did this first. I did it. And it's real like childish, right? But people do it. And, but I do believe that there are also situations to kind of circle back to where I think Lapeef is coming from. There are times when, you know, we, like whether you're a man or a woman, is the cause of the problem, you know, and where you do need to maybe say, like, look,
like cheating,
like
cheating,
yeah, or whatever it is,
like cheating is one person clearly wrong in that. It's like,
hey, hold on, you guys. I want to bring in a caller.
We got a caller.
Yeah, we got Cole Red.
Cole Red. That sounds like we should be.
Guys, how are you going? How's it going?
Hey,
hello.
You got a question?
All right, so you don't have to call me. Yeah, so you don't have to call me Code Red. My name is actually Marcus.
Okay, how you doing, Marcus?
Your name
Welcome
is Marcus.
To the show.
Yeah, that's my name.
All right, welcome to the show.
So I just want to say I love what you guys are doing. Oh, thank you. I just want to say I love what you guys are doing. It's really nice to have the conversation you guys are having. So I hope you guys are doing well today. So I would like to say my main question is, a lot of times you guys are talking, and the difference between, it sounds like Aton versus you all. And a lot of times the difference seems to be with Aton, he's having the conversation to finish it. And it seems like everybody else is talking like more in terms of semantics. So so I'm just kind of asking, like, what is the main difference between, or the pushback that you guys feel with Aton most of the time?
You said Anton's talking to do what? To complete the message, and we're doing what?
It sounds like from what I'm seeing as a viewer, it sounds like he's talking more to have the conversation be over and to move forward with whatever you guys come to. When you guys talk, it sounds more like as if you're talking semantics, and it doesn't really seem to push anything forward as it does to just continue the conversation. So like at what point, so I'm just wondering for you guys, what are you looking at when you see Anton, and what is the main pushback when he is talking?
Hey, JR, can you repeat his question? I just didn't hear him that clearly. If you could repeat it for us, that'll be great, for me at least.
It sounds like...
so when you guys are talking...
Go ahead.
Go ahead.
I was just going to say, so when you guys are talking to Aton, what is the main pushback that you often see with him?
Like, what's your main, I guess he's asking, what's your main point of contention or conflict with what he's saying?
I guess it depends on the conversation. I mean,
yeah, if you give us like an example, that would be great to start us off.
I think that you made a good point that he's trying to finish the conversation, and we feel that. Well, I personally, I'll speak for myself and not be Nick. That I don't have a narrow perspective, so there's not a black and white answer for me for every situation, and I do think that there are different perspectives we should consider, and there's a wide, diverse range of people. And so I just don't agree with, my experience is different, where I don't agree with putting a situation into a box. And so therefore, I want to convey that, and I want to be open to other people's opinions and perspectives, and not always set a black and white answer to it. So that's my perspective. B-Nix, I don't know if you have something else to add, or you want to say your perspective.
Repeat the question again.
Marcus, you there?
Yeah, I'm still here.
Yeah.
Okay.
You want me to repeat the question?
Yeah, Nick's want to hear it again so he can kind of better answer the question.
I'm sorry, like cutting out a little bit.
I'm sorry, what was that?
No, I'm sorry. You guys were cutting out a little bit. I didn't get the last part.
Brother Nix was just asking if you can repeat your question and just clarify it again so that he can better answer it.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So, what is the main pushback that you see when you are talking to this? When you are talking to Aton, just because from me hearing him, it just sounds like he's looking for more of a solution as opposed to anything else. And I don't tend to hear that with the rest of the panel. So what is your main pushback against Aton in general?
I don't know. It's just a conversation, really. I don't know. It's just, we give opinions. We give opinions just like we did tonight. So it's just a matter of, I don't know, I would need like an example of one. But some things we do agree on, some things we don't. But just, I don't know. It's kind of weird since Anton not on here, so now I'm talking about him. But it's just,
Right.
I don't know. I push back on a lot of people. Like, I don't think it's unique to just Anton. I know that, he does have his own personality, but we all do. I just have my own opinion about how I feel, and that's it. I just think that, like, just because you have an opinion, it doesn't mean whether it's right or wrong. And that's why I always kind of frame it like it's a perspective. So the thing is, just because someone has an opinion, that doesn't automatically mean that the other person's opinion is wrong. And that's the part that I get, want to make clear that, just because someone may not agree with someone on this panel, that doesn't mean the other person is wrong. So that's the part that I guess if you're talking about him, that's the only part that I take issue with. But I would do that with anyone. That it's not really a right or wrong. It's really just about us being able to share our thoughts. So that's what this platform is meant to do. But I don't know. That's all I could really give because I need like a concrete example of like, what you're maybe discussing or trying to imply.
Me too. I would prefer direct response, but immediately I just feel like we should all have our own opinion and approach, and everybody's not solution based, and I don't think that that's always the right approach. That's why there's different approaches to life. There's different approaches to management.
Yeah, and let's be clear. Like, I know we're on the show. Hey, folks got respect for everybody on this panel, Anton included, even though he's not here tonight. So it's never meant to be like a level of disrespect. I know we may yell, scream, cuss each other out. Hell, I did that with Andrea just tonight alone. But, it's all love. So, it's just at the end of the day, we chop it up, joke about it, and then show back up the following week.
Yeah, and just to kind of piggyback, I had these discussions even off the radio about how I appreciate these people being different, because if everybody was the same, then this show would probably be boring and it probably wouldn't be bringing a lot of value to people, to our listeners. So when I kind of put these people together, I did want a woman on the panel so that she can kind of balance things out, because I had a lot of people saying that I needed a woman. I didn't necessarily feel like I needed a woman, but I did feel like, Tawana would bring a different element, because sometimes she does agree with the guys and then sometimes she does agree with the woman. But the fact that she's able to understand it from like both perspectives and being able to choose like whatever perspective that fits her narrative for that moment, that's what I kind of liked about her, because she wasn't just all for the women and just trying to push the women. So with Anton, I think you got to understand too that we all come from different backgrounds, and that's something that we was discussing a little bit earlier. I feel like Anton grew up a certain way, and I didn't grow up that way. Even though I may not speak a lot, I grew up totally different from Anton. I grew up totally different from B. Nix. We've actually learned a lot of things about each other, while we were doing this show that we never knew. And I've been knowing Nix and Tawana for a long time, and we just now learning each other. So, like that's what makes this show like the greatest podcast ever, is that we all different. We all gonna bring some flavor to it, and we just gonna keep giving y'all
Well, Marcus, I'm glad
it to
that you're a
y'all.
fan. I'm glad he's a fan of Anton. He's an amazing man, but we all have people who resonate with us. And I'm a fan of Anton too. Don't think that I'm not. I think he has great perspectives, and I do like that he's solution based. And I also like that B Nix can be in that gray area sometimes. So sometimes I need to be in that.
I don't care.
I think sometimes I like to be, I like to flip flop. Sometimes I'm gray, sometimes I'm black and white. So we all got our thing. I hope you enjoy the show and enjoy our perspectives anyway.
Yeah, thank you. I mean, I do enjoy your show a lot. You guys really are funny. I mean, I guess I'm just mostly wondering about maybe a few things that Eitan just seems to talk about. Straightforward. This is how it goes. And that advice might help more people than as opposed to some other advice that might be said. So I guess I'm just wondering, like, maybe I just can't fathom some of the stuff.
Yeah.
Or where the disagreement is, which is just what I'm targeting on. But I mean, that was really all.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, we appreciate you. I think somebody else was trying to call in real quick. I'm going to see if I can get them on the line. But, Marcus, we definitely appreciate you being a listener. And I did see you active in the comments, and I appreciate you actually being the first person. I'm actually just trying to, give back to, like, the Lapeef family. I want to be able to hear like what you guys got to say, and I just appreciate being able to, do this and bring you on the show today.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
All right. We'll talk to you.
Thank you.
All right, I'm going to see if I can get this one last person on, and then we'll go ahead and close the show out.
Hey, man, I'm tired, man.
Man, I'm like,
Hey, Andrea, you thought I was joking about this being like another job. Like, shit. Damn.
I got a baby in his belly. I need to. She needs.
Hello, welcome to
Shit, everybody else done went to sleep in the house.
Hold on, Nix. Got a caller.
Hello.
Hey, how you doing? Welcome to Lapeef. Let's talk. Who's on the phone?
Hi, I'm Clement. I actually dropped in a couple of comments before.
Mm-hmm. Welcome.
I'm the one that.
Hey, what up, though?
I'm the one that said Andrea was very masculine, so I'm sorry we took it the wrong way.
No, I thought I was laughing at the comment, but I don't know how Andrea felt, but I thought it was funny that you made that comment. Go ahead.
Listen, I really appreciate you guys in this panel. I think it's a very informative panel. And I really like the whole idea on therapy. I really do believe our community, the Black community, a lot of us need therapy, and it's just not talked about for some reason. So even, Andrea actually just bringing it up, and everyone actually just having that conversation, I believe it's a really good one. I wanted to call in and say that.
I appreciate that.
I do too.
No, I appreciate what you're saying, bro. I mean, Tawana had alluded to it earlier, but that used to be my profession. I used to be a therapist. I used to work at a inpatient unit as a group therapist or whatever. My background is psychology, and even though I know I talk trash on the show, we all got our own personality, but I mean, mental health is something that's very prevalent, specifically in Black and brown communities. And, I was talking earlier about men being able to socialize, and talk, but I think as long as we continue to now normalize mental health and therapy, like it's not like anything bad, or as a man, one thing I didn't say, going to therapy is shown as weakness. As long as we're able to normalize that it's okay to be able to talk about your issues and express, feelings, because the thing is, we talk about this emotional, whatever like that, but we're human beings from a humanistic approach that we need to get into the habit of being able to, invest in ourselves, not just our physical health, but our mental health. But there's a more systemic issue in our society where can you go seek these resources from? Many of the people that we see in our communities, we don't have the facilities. They're Black and brown, but the people we're speaking to do not make up what we see. You know, the field itself is roughly about 9% Black and brown therapists and psychologists. So it becomes this barrier where it's like, do you fully understand the culture that I represent to understand to have this breakthrough moment? So being able to say, like, we need to talk about it. But also, if folks want to go to school, they need to be able to say, like, hey, I want to go into this field because I don't see people that look like me. You know, when I grew up, I always thought of a therapist with somebody with some elbow patches sitting on a couch, smoking a peace pipe, telling me, like, so tell me your problems. You know, that's not real life.
You know, mental health is first, physical health is second.
Yeah.
Period. You know, if we don't take care of our mental, I don't care how much we eat good, we work out. If we don't take care of our mental health, then mental health is first, physical is second. Period.
No, absolutely. I agree with that. And just to make it, you know, we have to have the space to be able to release. And if we don't have the opportunity to release and tell someone, even if we don't know them what's going on, then that will be the detriment of African Americans. That will be the death of us. The fact that we're not able to express the trauma that we deal with.
I think
Agreed.
And you know,
go ahead, and Andrea.
I'm sorry, just really quick. You know, you guys, I told you that I have a son that's about to be 22 years old. So I instilled in him at a very young age, I can be the best parent ever. We are not. You know, we're not the best parent. What the fuck we doing? You know, I instilled in my son at a very young age. If it's someone you want to talk to him. Talk to him. Mental health is first, physical is second. You can always go to therapy. We can always work out. We can always do X, Y, and Z. That is what is important. Prayer, meditation, talking to someone, working out, doing these releases. Because if not, I mean, we won't be healthy, mentally or physically.
I agree.
What are you gonna say,
agree.
Ashley?
See, Nick, you know, for me, I recently got into therapy, and it took me a while because I was trying to find a Black therapist, just because they can definitely relate to me a lot more. And, you know, I don't know what's going on in your life, but a lot of African Americans do need therapists, and that is something I would say, if you can find time, definitely try to help our community again by doing that, because there's not a lot of Black therapists out there, and that is one extra layer that a therapist can get down deeper into than that not other races can, if that makes sense.
No, I definitely follow, and it makes sense. We just, you know, even though that's what I went to school for, but it's not just one person. It still takes a village. So being able to have more people in that field that represents our struggle, because I think that's part of it, where a lot of times we're overdiagnosed or misdiagnosed, where if we believe in like church and religion, we're viewed as being hyper religious and all these other things on how we're labeled just because of, you know, the culture that we represent, which is so untrue.
Yeah.
But if you have people that truly don't understand what it means to be a Black or brown person, then you do get misdiagnosed, or overdiagnosed, or given the wrong medication, or generic meds, or access to meds. Like,
you know what though, you guys, my experience was totally different, because I was so intent on finding an African American therapist, and I just kept having roadblocks with the therapist sessions. Like, I just wasn't connecting to the people. And I actually connected with someone who was not African American and like loved her and had the best sessions. And I had every intention. And so I want people to do what's best for them, and what and it also depends on what issues you're trying to address, right? Because it could be that too. Mm-hmm. If you need someone to connect with you and know your history and know your background, and if you've had trauma, you know, that may have affected you as a community, that's different. I guess, you know, obviously you would look for someone who can relate to you in that way. But I don't know if that's what I needed in my therapy session. And so I was looking for something different. And so therefore, you know, I didn't need to read the empowerment books, and I didn't connect with the things that I was going through in those
Which
sessions.
is, I definitely understand, which is perfectly fine, you know,
Yeah.
it's because it's not a one therapist fits all, and
Right.
as long as you're getting someone to be able to help you, that's what really matters.
That's right. And that's what I wanted to convey, is that if your therapist isn't Black, but you're a Black person and you're getting the help you need, it's fine, you know.
Exactly.
And I don't want people to feel ashamed of that. I know, you know, we could, if someone is not using a Black therapist, they may feel like, oh, you know. So
yeah. Shop around. It's just like how you look at a barber, beautician, where you go get your car washed. You have a relationship that you want to build with this person. So, hey, it's total access on how you can find out background on what therapists work for you. And even if you don't have access, I mean, a form of therapy also is just having someone that you could talk to about your problem. So, I mean, I think in a certain sense, everybody may have someone that plays a role as a therapist, but more so just to be able to talk about what's going on. A lot of times that you think about it, a therapist not giving you the answer, you need to do this, is really creating the space for you to really reflect and articulate what is going on internally. And
being a mirror.
Time.
I think
Go ahead, Ashley.
I think it's also important that, you know, in us talking about how important therapy is, to get rid of the stigma of mental health in our community, because people will tell you, people will tell you, oh, we need therapy in our community, we need to talk about it, we don't talk about it. But then, you know, the tones that they have around people who have mental health problems are so negative, and they're so demeaning. Or, you know, like when you address somebody, you know, sometimes people use it as an insult. You know, yeah, she need her pills, or he need her, you know, he needs to go, you know, it's like an insult. So we stigmatize it, you know, when in actuality, mental health, there's like a wide range of different mental disorders or challenges that people have. And people always just think, oh, she crazy, or he's nuts, or he's insane. When it's like, we gotta stop. We have to change how we talk about it, you know, and how we respond to it. Like our tone needs to change about it, because, you know, we're not encouraging anybody to speak up with the way we're talking about it. Because you know, people are gonna want to stay in their shell because they don't want to be, you know, they don't want to be looked at a certain way. They don't want to be talked about. They don't want to be criticized. So
they don't want to be labeled.
Yeah. So exactly. They don't want to be labeled. And I know somebody who checked into herself into a mental hospital. This was 30 some years ago. And her family is still referring to her as crazy. You know, and it's like she checked.
Like, she did a healthy thing, the healthiest thing that she could do for her mental health.
Yeah.
It's like it's being stigmatized in her family. It's so bad. I don't get it.
Yeah.
All right, Clement.
That makes me angry and sad. It really does.
All right, Clement. Hopefully, the people on the panel have been able to answer your question and be able to bring some value to you. Would you say that? Would you say so?
Yeah, no, absolutely. Listen, I really enjoyed the panel. I really enjoyed you guys' show. I know you guys have been talking for a while. So
yeah, we have. Yeah.
I've been watching this whole thing too. So.
Yeah, I appreciate that.
Full-time job.
Yeah.
And don't worry, I know I need therapy. I go all the time.
Listen, I'm there with you. I'm doing
I don't care who call me crazy.
They didn't say you was crazy. They didn't say you was crazy, Andre.
It's crazy with a K. Good.
Wait, what did he say? What did he say?
Crazy with a K.
You know, because this is important. I don't care who calls people who go to therapy crazy. Like, as you said about your friend, that's really sad. That really makes me upset. But we all need to talk to someone, and I really appreciate talking to someone, and I appreciate talking to you guys tonight because this is my therapy tonight.
I most definitely. All right,
Oh,
we go.
wait, hold on. One last thing. I would just want to say sorry. One last thing. On the just a comment that we're saying before. I believe that as men, we put a lot of that burden on ourselves to hold all of that in. For me, I know a lot of the times when I'm talking to other guys, when it's just a one-on-one session, I usually start opening up a little bit more about my life issues, and usually that opens up the floodgates for them to talk to me about it. So I know a lot of guys hold a lot in, but it usually just takes that person to start talking to them about it. And realistically, some of these people I've known for about a week, and they're still opening up to me about their personal issues. So a lot of guys are very open to talking about it to other men. So I think as men, we need to be that helping hand to help each other.
I agree.
Facts.
That's an excellent point.
Thank you for that.
All right, Clement, we appreciate you calling in.
I appreciate you.
All right. Talk to you.
Enjoy your night.
You too.
Thank you.
All right, you guys, we're going to conclude this. We've been on for 3 hours and 34 minutes. I might have to start sending out some checks tonight.
Man, today I need my check tomorrow.
This is an honorarium.
You got Cash App, Zelle.
I know we got all the technology tonight, man, but I definitely appreciate you guys. Like I say, I apologize for all the technical difficulties we had setting up, but I think we're going to be good moving forward, and we definitely brought some value to people's lives, I believe, tonight, and that's the most important thing. And I appreciate you guys, my crew. They always ride with me. They stay with me, and I appreciate that. Anton does a lot behind the scenes. I know he had an emergency call to take and some things to do, and I definitely appreciate him. Yeah. And I appreciate my guests, Ashley and Andrea. You guys have been phenomenal tonight.
Yes, you guys have.
You guys been on your A game. You guys definitely brought it. It's been a wild roller coaster tonight, but it was good.
I haven't laughed so much in a podcast. I was like on the floor. I'm like, oh God, this is hilarious.
Oh my God, this was excellent.
I don't care.
I'm definitely gonna get Nick's a shirt, man, because I think it's been a statement for him. I'm gonna get him a shirt that says like, I don't care.
I swear I'm gonna wear it because I do not care about a lot of people.
I think that's the shirt you have to order, man.
Me
You
too.
got a whole lot of people. People love it, man. People love you, Knicks, man. Real talk. I appreciate you guys for sticking with us. I see we got a few people that were still in. Appreciate you guys I keep saying appreciate you guys. I'm gonna have to stop that shit. But thanks for tuning in. Lapeef, let's talk. We out.
Bye. Good night, y'all.